All right, cool. All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for doing this. I
Yes, sir.
think, I'm appreciative. I think everyone in the server is going to be super appreciative of this. Uh, I want to do this as like a celebration. I told you guys, for one, we hit 1,000, which is pretty big. Server's only been around since like September, so that's really cool. Um, I just want to do so. We all know, that this deck has gone through like a whole bunch of changes over the last couple months. Wounded, you got on it. Pigeon, you've been on it. Um, you guys run. You look at your lists; they look similar, but they're different. And like
Yeah.
Pigeon, your list, Wounded, your list, and then Sam's list are usually lists that like when people first join and they want to jump in and try it. That's just kind of where we direct people to start. So what I want to do is like, you guys kind of talk about your lists, talk about, maybe like the differences or like what the differences are and how you guys play patterns, just kind of things that you think people should know about if they are to pick up, your list or maybe just some pro tips. And then we'll get through that. And then there's a
Okay.
whole bunch of questions that everybody in the server submitted. So we get there and we'll see how much time we have. So I'll just kind of let you guys kind of go and kind of move along if we need to. All right.
Real
So
quick,
whoever wants to
Yeah,
start us
I
off.
imagine.
does my stream work real quick, and then you're good to talk, Max?
Oh, your stream looks beautiful.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Then you're good to go. You're good to go.
Yeah.
Do
So
you want me to start picking, or you want to go
go
Yeah.
first?
ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I just want to make sure this worked
All right.
first.
Well, before I say anything about this deck, I gotta say there's one man in cEDH that's really good at getting me to not play Kinnan anymore. He's done it twice now, and his name is Pigeon. I don't know how you keep doing this.
Civic's pretty good though.
I love Simic, bro. You do keep getting on other Simic decks.
Yeah.
When Pigeon introduced this deck to me, which he sold it to me as this deck is gas, trust me, trust. I said, all right, I'll try it. He was on the sudden substitution and all those types of cards. He was at the time when I first saw it, still on Jessica's Will, still on Third Path Iconoclast, really built around that whole package. It was a little more red intensive, not much. And obviously Pigeon likes his high upside cards like sudden substitution, which the ceiling is crazy on. I will never deny the ceiling on those cards. I did what I do with most decks that I pick up, which is where I say I, in my heart, am a control player through and through. I love being a patient, grindy type of player. I love interacting with people and stopping their wins while slowly developing towards my own, while not pressuring too much fear into the board unless I am at a position that I feel I can confidently, I don't know the better word, slap my dick on the table and say it's 3v1 time. Like, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of how I always have played. So the swaps I made to the deck were all built around just being a little bit more efficient and a little bit more interactive. And that was where I think you weren't on Swan Song and you weren't on Force Negation, or maybe Snaz
Yeah.
wasn't on Force Negation.
It was just
but so
Fishbowl
when
that
I
wasn't on it, but yeah.
yeah, just up a little bit more interaction from the list that I was originally sent. And he said, "Oh, I don't want cards like Springleaf Drum. Your reasoning for that was, we make so much mana and we already have things that tap our creatures. I don't want that level of redundancy." And I said, "Well, I really want to have consistent turn one plays." I know it's a question someone asked that I might get to later, is the turn one plays thing. But I really appreciate lean, consistent efficiency in my play style. That's pretty much what I've always leaned towards. So you'll notice a big difference in a lot of me and Pigeon's cards is like the upside on the cards he's playing that I'm not playing are way higher. Like he's just playing the sudden substitution, the clever impersonator, and these cards that can absolutely do more, but they cost more. And I'd rather have less upside, more consistency, cost less is really what I tend to lean towards. The play patterns of my version, the goal is mostly to get into the long game in a developed mana situation where you're holding up interaction. Like pretty much all I want to be doing every turn in my ideal game plan is setting up a position that I have a shitload of mana and I pass the turn holding up pretty much all of that mana. And if I need to interact, I have the mana and the cards to interact. And if I don't have to interact, well, I'm just beginning the cycle of activating Thrasios and just grinding out the game that way until I'm at a position that I feel confidently unstoppable. That's normally what I go for. There are cards that change that. Weirdly, it was my first month in this deck because I probably played on this deck for, we'll say, 3 weeks before I brought it to my first tournament. And I would say almost all of my games I won were won that way, and very few of them were won through Breach or Song of Creation. And the second I started playing this deck in tournaments, it really swapped to, wow, I've won a lot of games on turn 3, and wow, I've won a lot of games by getting blown out and then winning with Breach.
Yep.
So that philosophy has changed from when I first started playing the deck, and now I do kind of lean almost expecting to get blown out and into a giant fight late, where my goal with the deck has slightly shifted to, rather than just winning the Simic way, which I still do a good amount of the time, I'm more than happy to get into the big fight and get blown out to then fall back on the breach.
Yep. I think it's a really good way to put it. A lot of things you said are still very true. Like I'm super, super in love with like just no, I'm not gonna let you do anything, and then I'll just like pay for a mana draw card. Oh, you're not gonna do anything either. I'll pay for a mana draw card. Just like sit back and just kind of watch the table, like not know what to do because they're used to winning the game, and I'm just like no, fuck off. It feels really good, and this deck is like so efficient at not only controlling, but when you actually do need to win, you can kind of do it with like 6 mana, 7 mana if you really want. So you don't need like the plethora we make to win. And then if it gets stopped, guess what? You still have all the extra mana to like pop off. And I love that. It's really funny though that you were talking about the Nadu and the in this deck because they are all just Civic decks. Like Nadu is Civic, Kinnan is Cynic. This is basically Civic. There's just red, SWAT, and Rog, right? It's all the same flavor of Simic, just a little different style. And I
would
really
say
like
they're
that.
very different flavors of Simic, as a
Oh,
Simic connoisseur.
for sure, but it's Simic. There's only so
Yeah.
much different you could do unless you're playing Nadu, which is just better. But yeah, this is like so fucking amazing, and I know a lot of you guys here have like noticed that and picked it up, or maybe Yoshi Thras or Tevesh Thras, same difference, a little different, right? But like the things you're all doing are the same. You're just crapping out creatures and playing Cradle, or crapping out a Cloud of Fairies and making a little bit of mana each time, or Nantuko my value Biomancer, spin for 1 mana. Like all these things that you can just continue to pivot on in this deck that I don't think most decks of the format can pivot through. Or like stop. Like, oh, now there's a Curse Totem. I'll change the plan. Oh, there's a Bowmaster. I'll change the plan. Oh, there's there's so many situations where you can just like swap around. And that's super awesome because a lot of decks can't do that. I think the best deck that can do that right now is TNK, and that's still, I think, the best deck in the format. But they have absolutely no originality.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and I think one of the things I definitely want to discuss with our lists is the advantage of being a Simic deck. I mean, obviously we have the splash of red, but it's a disservice to the conversation to ignore the fact that we are almost entirely ignoring a color that we have access to.
Mhm.
And I had this conversation with someone recently. The real fact, Colors Are Crutch is coming back, and we already recorded the new episode for it, and this is a topic that will be discussed in that video. But
Yippee.
when we were talking about decks like Tevesh Thrasios, as an example here, it's a Sultai deck, which can do a lot of the same things as us, and the win rates aren't as good. Even if you are on full Simic, right? Like if you're talking the completely eliminate, breach everything, this is a better deck. Why would this be a better deck if it's not including black, or in our case, not really including red? And I think that has a lot to do with the almost political value of not so blatantly going for it, where it's almost difficult when you are a deck that has Diabolic Intent, Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Imperial Seal, all of these things, to not just assemble your A plus B, and you get blown out a lot of the time. And because our deck isn't attempting to be so direct in how it accomplishes its goal of winning, and it's just grinding this value very, very consistently, I think that's genuinely one of the powers of Simic is everyone else you're really worried about them winning the game, and I can very confidently show you my hand and say, show me the line. It doesn't exist, right? But I'm still in a position where I'm not losing.
Yeah.
And that's the part that people miss. As long as you're not losing, you're working towards the win. And this deck does that pattern very, very well compared to other decks that are almost naturally forceful in trying to go for the win because of their higher card quality.
Absolutely. I really think like you're saying, like you can abuse it more and do more things instead of like swapping and trying something different just because the other colors can exist. Like obviously I think the silence effects in Yoshi are great, but even if it's not necessarily an explosivity, the difference of not having a 0 mana commander versus a 1 mana commander that you have to pay a white pip for is like pretty large. And the decks will play different and will be different because you won't have the Ranger Captains in this deck or silences, but you'll have the breach and the swap, the flare, and everything else that matters along with it that just kind of completes it, I think, a little bit better. I'm obviously a little biased, but I don't know. I think it's a little better.
I've put an enormous amount of thought into the comparison of us and Yoshi Thras, and my overarching decision I came to is we are a better deck in totality. They are a better deck situationally. Like if we're into that mid to long game and they are going for a win attempt, their win attempt is better than ours.
100%.
They are more protective, right? Because of the silence effects and having Grand Abolisher and Ranger Captain, that's all incredibly valuable. But where they are super weak is they are slower to set up, and the weakness of this deck is mostly losing to turbo decks. So being a half step slower and setting up your situation is very, very bad. And so I think we're better in the early game significantly. Additionally, they are super weak to board wipes. We're able to fall back on the breach plan. As I'm sure we'll get into more, I think the agnosticness of the breach plan is exactly its strength in this deck, which is so weird as someone who normally builds fully synergistically. But the fact that breach is not synergistic with this deck is the reason that it is good, because it's just a full agnostic backup plan. They do not have that. If they get Culling Ritualed, if they get Supreme Verdicted, if they get Deluged, they're not winning the game. Like, unless it's exactly devoted Druid SwiftCon, like, they're BTFO'd for sure, versus we look BTFO'd, but we're not. And the last thing is we are significantly more interactive. Like we just do have a better, deeper interaction package. They are more committed to the overall Cradle creature plan, and not having Flare of Duplication, not having Deflecting SWAT. They do have a lighter overall counterspell package than we do. Like they're worse at stopping their opponents. I've played against YEAR a bunch recently, and it was a deck that I genuinely was considering picking up, thinking, oh man, this might just be a better silence-filled version of this. And every time I've played against that deck, they just lose to being blown out, or they lose because they don't have the answer, and I always have the answer.
Yeah, I agree. I think the potential to just like randomly silence effect turn 3 win is there, but it's way worse. And like you said, it's a turn slower, so it's a lot harder. But it's a very cool theory, and the fact that this deck like sprung out of it immediately 2 other decks was pretty beautiful, because you can't really do that in other like formats or another like decks, right? You don't just get like, oh well, this TNK deck is actually this deck hiding behind it. Teehee. It's just because you can Thrasios with something and you can swap the color. It actually changes it a lot, but not the core of it, right? I think that's really beautiful. I don't think we ever see that in cEDH, so it's pretty cool to see.
But almost the same way that we're playing. If you look at the comparison of how many white cards they're playing versus how many red cards we're playing, they're playing so many more white cards, right?
So it's really a 3-color deck instead of a 2-color deck.
They really are a Bant deck versus we're a Simic deck.
Yeah. Let me just pull it up. I don't. Oh, why is it like this?
Visual grid, baby.
I don't know why it's like that, and I have it auto, so I don't know. Did you see here like the Teferi, Esper, Grand Abolisher, Emil, Ranger, Cutzel, the Revi, Gearhulk, Savines, Wargate, Swords, Enlightened Tutors, Silence, like all there's a lot of white cards. And that's not a bad thing. It's just much different. It is a 3-color deck compared to being Simic and a little bit of red.
Yeah. And Simic give consistency in the value grind.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to rely on sources of mana as much either, which I like. I actually really like that. Do we want to start going on to questions brought up, or anything specific you want to start with?
Well, I guess, are there any questions based on what we just said?
Oh yeah,
please. There is actually. Which is funny that you guys kind of just went into it naturally. So kind of going off that same topic of RogThras and like a newer Thras spawning out of it. Basically, one of the questions was, how does it feel to basically have engineered just like a new style of play, like that whole Cradle farm, like Cradle's almost like essentially the new Dockside, right? Like it's just a massive amount of advantage, and those 2 decks are more so RogThras, but Thras changed to be able to kind of spawn this new meta or a new shell that other decks are basically just using.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you speak on that one more, because I don't really feel like I engineered this in the slightest. This was something that was brought to me by Pigeon. I think that my version just re-engineered the current version of RogThras to be slightly more focused on the grind plan while still having proactive capabilities. Like, that's my niche.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't feel that I engineered any of what you just talked about. So that's more on Pigeon's side.
It was interesting because it was actually brought to me by Snazerific. If any of you guys in the audience know, it's our buddy, Max Nice buddy, the goat. But he brought it up and he's like, this deck just like got like Sam Black just did well on this list. Like, let's make it better, because there were some cards that were just like, this card sucks, or whatever. Like we saw Dowerport Mage, and no offense, but like that card fucking sucks in my opinion.
Get it out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. Like we saw some cards that were just like, hey, let's swap it, let's like test it, and I didn't believe at first. I was like same thing with Max was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, this deck's good, you're saying, but like it can't be that good. Like it just hasn't existed, so how could it be that good? And then he playtested like 5 hands and was like, I was like watching, I was like, oh my god, that's like a turn 3 Seedborn. Oh my god, that's like a turn 3 Song of Creation with backup. Oh my god, that's like a fucking Cradle for 12 on turn 3 with an untapper. And I'm like, what's happening right now? I just like watched in awe as he just play tested it and just like every single playtest was like consistently doing an insane thing. And I was like, how is this happening? So we tweaked it a bunch. I brought it to Fishbowl with like 2 weeks of experience on it, like maybe 10 games, and I was like, this deck seems good. And then I just didn't lose until the finals, and I was like, yeah, this deck's good, man. Changed it a lot after that. Brought it to like Max and a bunch of other people were like, you guys should play this deck. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Same reaction, right? Like, this can't be good. And then they played it and they're like, what the fuck? This is insane. Get me on this right now.
Pushed me pretty hard.
Dude, I'm saying it was so good.
You pushed me pretty hard on this one.
But then once you saw it, right, you're like, okay, holy shit, you're right. Like, this is crazy. What is happening right now? You shouldn't be able to do this consistently every time. Even if you rolled a 3.
That's like a weird way of putting it, but a good way of putting it, because what I have truly come to love about this deck is the diversity of playstyles that it incorporates.
Yeah.
And that's something I talked about a little bit in my list where, I said, oh, sometimes it's, turn 3 win with Song Creation, or a couple times it's been turn 3 win with a Borrow. Like, it has the proactive capabilities, but it's really the diversity of different game plans available to you. It does remind me a lot of Kinnan in that sense, where when I coach on Kinnan and I talk about the different types of hands you can keep, because there are so many. When I'm coaching on Blue Farm, it's really a conversation of you're mulliganing for Mystic, Rhystic, Esper, Tymna plan. Like, that's the game plan. But with this deck, it's as long as I have mana, the mana is the A and the B can be so many things, right? It can be just a lot of mana for Thrasios. It can be Seedborn Muse. It can be Enduring Vitality. It can be Earthcraft plans. It can be Breach plans. It can be Song Creation plans. Like, it can be Rhystic Sight plans. It can be Wandering plans. It can be Training Realms, Biomancer familiar plans. Like, there's so many different paths forward within this deck to accomplish a very similar goal, and I've loved that flexibility of it, because being able to be really flexible is my favorite thing to do in cEDH. And 100%. So that's what this deck has brought me, and I've really, really enjoyed about it. The fact that you have to think super hard on your tutors and your play lines and what you're keeping off Thrasios, like, I love that.
The fact that this deck, I could like look at any card off of Thrasios spin and just be like, this is really good. I just don't need it in this scenario, and then bottom it. It's not like I don't want to ever see this card or something. It's like the way I've pivoted this game to be like, oh, this Seedborn will never resolve, so I'm just gonna bottom it, or like whatever the scenario is. Like, this card's still really good. I still want it, but just not right now. And then it's there for later, and you never have to be like worried that there's gonna be a bad card in my deck. That I'll just be like, this sucks.
I've started keeping a lot more lands. Like, happy to see
dude,
lands.
Seriously, same.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they can't blow my lands. Sounds good. They'll blow up maybe just my Cradle, but then that's it. Like, the rest of my lands will be here the rest of this game. I don't care. It's felt really good. And then seeing like the pivot of just like, like you were talking about the Yoshi Thras, Tevesh Thras stuff, like come out of it was super cool, because I mean, I still will always give the credit to Sam Black. He made like the original list, I'm sure, or maybe someone else did. He copied it, whatever. But he like made it a real thing, and it's just like so cool to like be part of these 3 now very pivotal decks in the format that I've just like helped push. I love it.
Yeah. So like, speaking of Sam, I know, I don't know if you guys have ever played his version at all or not, but one of the big questions is, for people who are running Sam's list and aren't on Breach, like the difference in play style between what you guys are doing, running the Breach, running the Song Creation. And, if you can't answer it, you can't, because obviously, neither of you guys are Sam, but like, what are like the differences and how are the philosophies different and how the decks function?
Would you be able to pull up a comparison between Sam's list and my list, and Sam's list and your list?
I think this is his most recent
one. Sure, 9 days ago is good. Yeah. Didn't he go back on Breach?
I don't know. He might be. No, he's not right now on this one. This list he is though. Oh,
sure,
no, not
sure.
that list. One of the recent lists is.
Whatever's the recent one not on Breach is the better one to answer this question anyway.
This is
yours. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go.
Okay, I'll go then. 20 cards. Okay, let me get a quick overview of these. Are they pretty much the ones I'm expecting them to be? They are pretty much the ones I am expecting them to be. Is he on Devoted Druid?
This is the only one.
I see Machine Gods.
There is Devoted, yeah. It's
There is a Devoted Druid?
There isn't?
There's no Devoted Druid. Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
It's a clone.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, overarchingly, when you look at the list, you'll see pretty much an identical amount of interaction outside of I'm playing Swansong. So interactively, they're very, very similar. You'll notice he's not on Training Grounds and Biomancer's familiar. He's just on a lot more ways to like get advantage out of Cradle. So what I would say is the overarching difference in me and Sam's game plan is that he is significantly more Cradle focused, which makes sense for a deck that's called Cradle Farm. And his goal is to just convert that into unstoppable value while chaining through Cradle. And the main difference in playstyle there, kind of how I talked about, I'm super comfortable being blown out and having my board be destroyed and seem like I'm out of the game when I know I'm not. His deck is not in that position. I'm sure it rebuilds at a reasonable rate, but I think very similar to the conversation I had with YEAR, where I don't like that that deck is super blown out by if all their stuff gets blown up. You know, I think Sam's deck is in a very similar spot where it's not in a good spot if it resolves a culling ritual. And obviously we're not either, but it's a very different level of a bad spot where I think he's very much fully blown out because he's so built around Cradle and so built around Cradle combos. And I think that my deck still takes really, really good advantage of Cradle, but it's not as hard committed to it. So I'm still able to function on multiple different axes. And one of the things I've loved about Biomancers and Training Grounds, Biomancers is most often my first tutor in this deck for a creature if I don't like specifically have Cradle to go with Cloud of Fairies or something. Having the reduction on Thrasios activations is enormous because my primary game plan is holding up mana for Thrasios. So being able to really efficiently double your mana, I'm honestly surprised to see him not at a minimum on Biomancers being on so many creature tutors. That seems like an excellent inclusion for him that would still lead to a lot of victories. Yeah, obviously he doesn't have the Breach Rain Freeze kill, doesn't have any of that stuff, so Gut Shot is kind of a weird little requirement for him to just have another win condition. But
He did
yeah,
go
I
on
mean,
Mastermind recently, also for the same reason, right?
I mean,
Oh,
sort
maybe he's
of.
not.
No, he's not a
Oh no, his
Mastermind.
most
I mean,
recent
yeah,
one he is. Yeah, his
he
most
is,
recent one he
okay.
is.
Which is good to have another win condition. I mean,
Yeah.
fun fact, we can win through Wandering Protection a little bit better than some other decks because of Mastermind and because of Wheel, Noxus Survival, that kind of stuff.
Green Sun
But I mean, yeah, I think the main difference between our game plan and Sam's is he's just super committed to Cradle, which there's a lot of value in that. You know, when I was brewing Talion and I was brewing Obnixilis, I was very much in a phase in my cEDH brewing career, I don't know what to call it, where I was preaching as much consistency in what you're trying to accomplish as possible. And, you know, that was why I took all the win cons out of Italian. I went as hard control as you can get. And I took all the reactive pieces out of Ob, and I went as turbo as it can reasonably get. And, you know, I felt a lot more success on both of those decks when I maximized the consistency from them. And I'd imagine that that is what Sam is doing with this deck, where he is trying to strengthen its strength, right? So where I said, we're super strong in this department, I'm going to diversify a little bit away from it. And I see a lot of value in that, and I've really enjoyed that. Sam has said, cool, my best muscle group is my triceps. I'm just going to keep only working out my triceps.
Yep.
And I'm going to make them as crazy as they can possibly be. And he's clearly having a lot of success for it. It's a totally valid way to take the deck. And there's a lot of value in being as consistent as you can be at doing what you want to do. I've just enjoyed the flexibility a lot more.
I agree. Also, just the matter of fact that he's Sam Black and he's an insane player, regardless of format, adds a lot to like him deciding this is what he wants to play, and like pivoting around just Cradle like you're talking about. I think that's like more helpful for him. If I did this, I don't think I'd have as much success, just because it's not the playstyle I want to be. Like you're talking about, I like to be able to pivot to and like swap to a breach plan, or swap to a song plan, or swap to a wheel and see what happens because my hand sucks. You know, all these different things. Being able to pivot more, I see more opportunity, whereas I'm a little bit slower, maybe perhaps we can say, than just pure Cradle for 12 on turn 3 or whatever. And I still think it's insane. Let me pull up mine real quick, and it'll be
one note on one
similar.
thing you said.
Yeah.
I like that you said, you know, Sam Black is who he is as a player, and this list is what works for him.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a ton of examples of that in cEDH where a certain player operates at an incredible level on a specific deck, and their version of that deck more so than on a specific deck, and other people can't replicate that. And I think excellent examples of this are Tremnek on Blue Farm. You know, no one has been able to play Blue Farm the way Tremnek plays Blue Farm. My grind him into dust Kinnan deck. Very few people have been able to have similar success on that version of Kinnan. Even Waffle's version of Kinnan, you know, which is full committed to the card advantage. Like that works because of who he is politically in his play style. A lot of people have not been able to replicate it. And I think Sam's Black's deck is probably a good representation of that. I don't think that is a variant that is going to have as much average success from any pilot. It's something that he works exceptionally well with.
100% agree. Regardless, again, if you're an insane pilot in a different deck, you still have to get used to playing a different deck and changing the styles or political aspects or all of these things. And that doesn't just like translate 1-to-1, even if you are really good. If Trebnek started playing this today, it's just an example. Like, I don't think he'd be as good the first 10 games, maybe more than an average pilot, but like, he'd have to get used to like, oh, I'm actually supposed to do this weird Cloud of Fairies, untap my mana, spin 5 times instead of seed burning, or whatever it is. There's so many different pivot points depending on the card you play, or like more retroactive versus aggressive like styles of cards or pushes, that it's very interesting to see the differences and how like he always does so well in this exact kind of list. And I really like it though. There are things I've really considered that he plays. Like everybody always talks to me about Sylvan Scrying. And I'm like, I maybe could try it, but I don't know. It seems a little slow. It's sorcery speed.
I'd rather have Tempt.
Yeah, same. Dude, Tempt has been so good every single time. Every single time. Because I just go, all right, don't counter it. Why would you waste a Force of Will? Just, I won't get a Cradle. I'll get 1 land for 4 mana and pass. Like, that's the worst case scenario. There's no reason you should counter this. Just no one take it. I'll get a basic island and pass. Like, it's so free, right? Even if you are spending 4 mana. But then they get to hold up a Force of Will that the table knows about. Like, there's so many different things of just, like, small little slightly different cards that are the same in theory, right? That I think just are playstyle. But he has just insane success with this deck, so I will never speak ill of it or him. I really like it a lot.
Yeah.
This relic.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So that talking about him being a good pilot, I mean, and you guys are pretty damn good too, which kind of goes into the next question: is what do you guys think is holding back the conversion rate of this deck in the top 16? It seems like RogThras is doing well in Swiss rounds, and what do you think it holds it back from converting to top fours? Is it a pilot thing? I mean, Wounded, you
Yes.
see the stuff with Kinnan, like people look at Kinnan from the outside, they easy spin Kinnan win, or this deck make big mana win, and they take it on, and there's maybe a lot more decisions to it. But if you guys could talk on what
So-
you think is holding it back.
So I have observed a lot of RogThras games when I was just at recent tournaments because it's been a very popular deck lately, and obviously, very fortunately, I've been doing well with it, and I've been fortunate to get to a couple of top fours on the deck. Haven't quite taken one down yet on it. But what I've seen pretty consistently from watching other RogThras pilots play, even when they're on lists very, very similar to mine, is being a little too aggressive. Where they see the line to win the game in their hand and they see 1 or 2 pieces of protection and they think, on turn 5, let's say, I'm not talking about like turn 3 slamming a song, like sure, I'll do that. But I'm talking about the mid game where they see the line finally and they're like, oh, I finally have the pieces, let me shoot the shot. And, very often in modern cEDH, if you're on turn 5 and there's Risic studies and people have been value grinding, which is kind of how the mid-range meta is, and you're trying to go for a win attempt on 2 pieces of interaction, you're probably not getting there. And I've seen a lot of people get blown out that way. So the biggest thing I would try and preach with this deck is patience. Like really trying to be patient. And that's also what I preached on Kinnan for a long time is this deck sets up what I like to call cultivated game states of continuous advantage. And what I mean by a cultivated game state of continuous advantage is the longer you wait to win the game, more often the more absolute and certain your win becomes because you just keep gaining value and keep becoming more absolute in what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that going for the first win attempt you see is something a lot of newer pilots fall for.
100%. I straight up agree. I think as entertaining as it may be to be like, oh, I get to push my win, even if you aren't necessarily the first to push, it's like, well, can I get to a point where I cannot lose instead of I can win? Because those are 2 very different things, right? If I have 400 mana in my pool and 6 counterspells in my hand, I'm not losing that game. If I have 2 counterspells and a probable win attempt, that still doesn't mean I win the game. So let me get to a point where I get only value until I get the 400 mana of 6 counterspells. Or what usually happens is, all right, I have 30 Thrasios activations, instant speed, and whatever I want. Then they just scoop. Like they don't need to see it. The point at which they have lost the game, they know they've lost the game. and it doesn't matter how much interaction they have, so they will either scoop or watch me play it out and have fun, which is way better and a position that you should be taking, unless you think you have a really good window. If you do have a really good window, that's different, right? But a lot of the time, it's like not as good of a window as you might think because of no one pushing, or one person pushed and there's 3 draw engines on board. So why would I push when there's 3 draw engines on board?
Yeah.
Just get the value, get through. Seedborn is different. If you can resolve the Seedborn, you're in a much better position, right? It's also not a quote unquote win, so you can probably think your little heart out. But there's so many different scenarios where you'd be like, I can win this game or I will win this game, and I think that's the actual conversion and the difference of maybe some newer players like you're talking about who think they have the push but don't.
Yeah, and I've done a few coaching sessions on RogThras recently, and a pretty consistent thing I do during coaching is we do kind of like do a little bit of gold fishing and go through some play patterns with the deck, and I'll talk to them about their opinions on different positions and hands in the game and such. And a lot of times, what I've seen right away from these people I've been coaching is, we have a hand that can win the game, and it can do it slightly protected, and I'll say, cool, what do you do here? And very often they go, well, I cast, game-winning card X or whatever. And I go, no, you can do that here. Let's talk through what most likely happens. Most likely, this gets countered, this gets stopped, you protect it this way, you're kind of blown out, you don't have any mana for anything in turn cycle. I say, let's see what happens if we wait a turn. And normally it's, we get, 2-3 extra Thrasios activations by that point, or we're able to just like play a creature and set something up and do something more menial that is likely to go through on that turn. And pretty much every time when we look at our hand just one turn cycle later, I say, how do you feel about going for the win now? And they say a lot better. And I think that's a really good thing to visualize and see and like try out. Like, the next time you're goldfishing or next time you're playing a game and you think you should go for the win, wait a turn, see how it looks one turn later.
Or see if you do win, what happens, or if you do push a win, what would happen? And a lot of the time it's, blown out, like you're saying. So like, I shouldn't go for a win because I'll get blown out. If I do wait the turn, get the 3 extra cards and an extra land or whatever, now I have double what I had last turn and an extra draw engine because I cast something. I feel way better. Go. I super agree. I've seen it a lot. This micro decision they make instead of casting this creature, like they pushed instead, cost them the game, and then look back on it like, wow, that doesn't seem very relevant. And you're like, it shouldn't be as relevant, but it is because you casting this clone instead means that you don't have it for next turn when you were pushing and you lost. Or this value engine you spend mana on is better than the creature tutor that gets countered because now you don't have it and you can't win. All these little, like, even things that seem slight or micro matter a lot when you're trying to get perpetual value.
I mean, the way to think about every single play you do in cEDH is imagine there's some constantly oscillating, moving needle of what your win percentage in that game is. Every single game action you take, every single thing you say politically, every single thing you do in the game should be with the perspective of making that needle go up.
What is my percentage to win if I decide not to push versus push right now?
Yeah.
A lot better.
Yeah. So then we'll go on. That's good. And we'll go on to the next question, which is kind of like a group of questions. People kind of ask the same kind of similar thing. So I'll kind of just tie it together. What are your favorite setup plays that don't involve Cradle? And that kind of ties into the next thing of now that the deck is no longer flying under the radar and people targeting us with things like Beseju, is there any reason, or do we think about playing more proactive cards or protection cards like Spellskite, or a bolt to kill oppos, or a force of vigor to deal with stacks pieces, things like that?
Why do we care about Oppo? I get it. Like, sure, the creature shooters are good, but like, I don't know. Yeah. Oppo doesn't matter in this deck. Like, sure, we play a decent number of tutors. I mean, we have Finale, Nature's Rhythm, Crop Rotation, Quarter Calling, Green Sun Zenith, Invasion of Ikoria. That's showing Myco Spawn. Sure, like we have some tutors for sure. Like they exist in the deck. But we're not really hindered by Oppo, especially since we're built around. At least I think our variants are mostly built around Underworld Breach, Time Creation, activating Thrasios, all of which don't really give a fuck about opposition agent. So fuck Oppo. And the do we play protection or proactive cards versus what are our favorite play patterns are kind of two different questions. I'd want to answer those one at a time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
super agree on the Oppo though. Like, I'm just good to sit here and spin Thrasios while you guys waste interaction over an Oppo. Like,
Yeah.
sounds good. Oh, I can't use this
Literally.
one Court of Calling in my hand. I don't care. That's fine. Like, okay.
Literally anything that slows down the game, I'm super happy with as long as I can activate Thrasios. That sounds great.
100%.
But in terms of my favorite play patterns in the deck that are agnostic from Cradle, there are a lot of ways in this deck to make a shitload of mana. So for me, that goes along like, Chatterstorm, Enduring Vitality style stuff is really, really good. I'm a huge fan of just getting multiple Biomancer's Familiars, so my activations cost 1. My favorite thing, if I have an Earthcraft, is just trying to get as many Valley Flood Colors in the battlefield as possible, because that is exponential growth. Where, if you have 4 Valley Flood Callers, and they each get untapped 4 times, so you get 16 mana, right? So it's pure exponential growth. So I will just try and clone it as many times as possible. Love getting a Spring Heart and Intuko on it. It's broken to shit. Really, it's like, if you're not on Cradle, you're just on one of the other pathways to mana. And there's a lot of different pathways to mana in the deck, right? Like, just trying to slam as many creatures as possible. I think a line a lot of people have missed from what I've seen, which I've done more times than I definitely expected to do when I picked up the deck, is Spell Sucring for Chatterstorm.
Dude, yeah.
Is like a very surprising thing that comes up.
Yeah. I know you're not on it right now, but like on a low mulligan, dude, Spellseeker for Malevolent Rumble, like it does more work than you think. I don't need to look scary at all. I'll just get this extra dude. I'll find an extra like permanent. Sure. Like there's so many good options you have where you just like fly under the radar and just be like, yeah, I wanna cast this Eternal Witness to get back my Chatterstorm to make my thing more for my Enduring. Or I'll have a clone. They're like, oh, it's gonna be a scary kin, and I'm like, nope, it's another Biomancer. My spins cost 1 mana. Like all these good things. Oh, my Thunder Trap trainer. There's a Spring Heart and Nantu code, so I just keep going at it and getting TVs. It feels really good.
It's basically the primary axes of this deck. The primary axis of this deck is mana. The secondary axis is cards. But as long as you are able to assemble a situation that you can make a lot of mana or draw a lot of cards, you are fine. 100%. That is the basic way to think about it. So if that plan is the One Ring, if that plan is Rhystic Study, if that plan is Mystic Remora, if that plan is Enduring Vitality, if that plan is Earthcraft, it doesn't matter which line you're taking, right? As long as you are succeeding on one of those axes of advantage, you're doing okay.
I super agree.
And then anything else you want to say about favorite? Well, do you have any other favorite play patterns that I didn't say?
I think the coolest thing I've been able to do recently, I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but like, I'll just like Breeze Caller, no Cradle, Breeze Caller with a Talon Gates, and then like a land that taps for 2 mana. Like it doesn't go positive or anything, but I just keep phasing everything out for like 2 mana. That's so good. I'll just keep doing it, and you can't really do much about it. You're gonna keep swatting it. Like, okay, I'll just do it again. And you do it again. I'll just keep screwing you every turn cycle for your combo piece because it doesn't matter. That one's more funny than anything, but that's what I've been trying to do more recently.
On that note, though, I have started purposefully taking Beseiju and Otawara on Thrasios activations onto the battlefield so that I can get them back with Breeze Caller and its cast.
There's no other deck that can do that. It's like, I don't normally want this. Okay, Temeshi can with Otawara, 100%. But like no world in which I'd be like, well, I want this Beseiju in play right now instead of in my deck, even though I know it's going to the bottom. But like, no, I do because I can bounce it later, and I don't have to like crack a map for it, which seems worse. I'd rather just have it in play than bounce it.
And that was actually a very specific political thing I did in round 1 of the last tournament I played at, where I was in a pretty scary situation. Which I will say, I think my greatest strength on this deck, above all else, is I think I have the most experience politicking a Seaboard Muse to stay on the battlefield of anyone in CEDH. So I was doing that, and I was in a board state. I think I had Cradle. I believe I had Cradle. And I had Otawara already on the battlefield tapped from a previous. I think I had to play it as a land early on in the game, and I knew a guy had a Solitude, and we only weren't doing it because I was politicking the Seaboard and because there was multiple Rhystic Studies in the battlefield where it was to keep parity essentially. And I tossed him my Breeze Collar face down, and I said, I want to be very clear as I show you this card. I do not have the other piece you're thinking of. I do not have access to that piece in any way. Look at the situation on the board. And I pointed to my Otawara, and I said, that is the reason I want to play this right now, and then I'm going to pass the turn. And I was able to like effectively politic my Oboro to exist on the battlefield as a non-scary thing, because they were viewing it as friend, not foe.
Yeah, and it could bounce anything, right? Odawara is so volatile, like they can even bounce their own thing if they try and point removal to it, which is really good.
Yeah.
I really hate seeing people play Odawara, and I'm like, no, don't play your Odawara, please. Or like if I have to for like a low mulligan, I'm like, no, my Odawara, it's so good, please don't do that. God, Oboro is an insanely busted card. I'm glad what's her face found it. They're in here. Yeah, it's so good card.
Yeah, so with like a Boro, how you guys just sound from those answers just sound totally comfortable just playing it at her as a value piece, just putting her on the field, not trying to win, not nothing, just getting her out there.
If I can do it, I don't have anything else to
all the
do.
time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, I'll pitch it to force all the time. It's funny when people think it's. I actually kind of like that people view it as a crazy win condition, because what's happened to me a bunch of times is I'll play Oboro as just like I might as well add this creature to the battlefield because I'm not going to be able to activate Thras with 2 mana. And yeah, so many times it eats a random fucking removal spell when I have 3 creatures in the battlefield for no reason. Or I'm like set up in a kind of scary game state where like I have a Cloud of Fairies in the battlefield and I play out Oboro and someone gets rid of the Oboro and I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I don't thank you for not getting rid of the things I actually care about. Like,
yeah, there's this Seedborn in my hand. I'd rather that didn't eat that. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Or this second Biomancer, like cool. Like, oh my god.
It's pretty sick to have a card that's essentially useless most of the time that for some reason just eats interaction for no reason.
Yep. Or like they're wasting a Forcible and I'm like, fucking gas, sounds good. Forcible resolves.
I'd talk them out of that. I want them to have the Forcible, but
no,
yeah,
if I'm pushing though, if I'm pushing.
Oh, if I'm pushing, sure. Get the shit out of there. Which honestly, I think going back to what I said a bunch of times about how people are patient for an extra turn or two and see what the hand looks like. Then most of the time, it's not even necessarily that you're more protected with more counter magic. A lot of times, it's more protected in that you can win it more ways. Which is one of the cool things about this deck. It has very like when I'm going for it, I go for it in 3 ways type of win attempts.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
And then
what was the other half of that question?
It was protection. Are we interested in being? Are we essentially changing our deck to be more protective or more overall proactive? Was the question. No.
Yeah, no. I'm already on Noxious, Ewit, Shifting Woodland. Like,
I might add Spellskite.
That would be it though, but that'd be it.
That's it. Yeah, I might add a Spellskite. That's which I'm not there yet. My Cradle has been Besaju'd more times than it's existed recently, and I think I am currently at a 100% win rate in games my Cradle gets Besaju'd. It has not mattered. So like, I don't care.
The point of the game where it matters is like maybe turn 2 and you have nothing else going on, which is a terrible time to do it because like I'm not doing anything.
Oh, that's what's happening to me. It's so dumb, dude. I have 2 creatures. Like, what are you doing?
Then I'm like, at least it ramped me with another land. I'll find just a different way to play it. Again, we just play so many pivot cards and like ways to play the game. It just doesn't always matter. Like obviously I don't want it to get Besage, but if it does, it's okay.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. So my answer is no, and I mean, as I said, I'm a control player. When the hell am I trying to be more proactive? Absolutely not. I want to sit there and make my opponents miserable for the full 80 minutes.
Exactly, I agree.
Yeah. What's your guys' perfect 7, or what are you looking for when you're opening the game? When you're opening hand?
I don't have to think about that one. If you want to go first, Max, I gotta think.
My answer is pretty simply I don't have one in this deck. I mean, again, what I preached about is I adore the flexibility of it. Sure, my perfect 5 is land, Lotus Petal, Breach, LED, Brain Freeze. We turn 1 win, baby. Like, I don't know. That's what I care about. But in terms of, I guess that's the perfect 7, as long as you have a couple extra cards to pitch there. But in reality, like, what I love about this deck is the flexibility. A 7 that represents good mana production and interaction is what I look for, right? I'd love to have a piece. I'm a huge fan of having a piece to start the game, but the hands I'm keeping on this deck have access to mana and cards.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
I think I'm pretty agree. Like, there's so many hands I keep that are like, oh, this might be the new best hand I've kept, and it just like keeps getting better from here. Like there's so many amazing hands I can keep now. But probably something with Chatterstorm if I had to give an answer. Something with Chatterstorm, dude. This card is so fucking funny and good. Like, really, you're gonna waste your turn 1 Mind Break Trap on my Chatterstorm for 3? Okay. I'll just do whatever else I want to do. I don't care. It's so fucking funny.
I mean, for me, it's like a bunch of mana and a Biomancers is like my dream hand.
Yeah. Like anything with mana. The rest of it I don't care about.
Well, that was my round 2 win at SCGCon Denver. I was on the play. poor Ian Flannery in second seat. I went land, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Moxable, RogThras. Turn 2 land, Biomancers hold up 4 mana. Activate twice because I have 4 mana. Hit Sowing Mycospawn and Cloud of Fairies. Proceed to ejaculate
GG.
on the table. Like,
just win the game. I think the best similar experience is like at fucking what's it called? Heisenberg. I'm stupid. I fucked this up and I'm super fine to admit it. Turn 2 I Malevolent Rumbled my Seedborn away and I just didn't like recognize that. I went for turn 3, get cord for Seedborn, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll pass. We had to do a whole judge call because I didn't realize it wasn't there. It's my bad. But what I did instead, I had to pay all the mana. I just got a Cloud of Fairies instead because I cannot obviously get a thing I said I was getting. And then I just won. Like that turn, I just never passed. I just won. I was like, oh, oops. I was just gonna see one pass, but I guess pop off all the GG the game ended. Like there's just so many fucking funny situations you put yourself in. Like this super value or this win. I didn't even try to win. I didn't think I'd even get this close. GG.
This deck finds a way, dude. I did a game for my buddy's YouTube channel that unfortunately will never see the light of day because it was 5.5 hours.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, dude, this game had 3 Bowmasters, 2 Mayhem Devils, 3 or 4 Smothering Ties, 3 Mockingbirds, like 4 Ranger Captains, a Resolved Deluge, a Resolved Overloaded Cyclonic Rift, a Resolved Culling Ritual. It had 2 Rhystic Studies. It had 3 Mystic Remoras. This game was hell. And by the way, all those Rhystics, Mystics, none of them were mine. None of the Bowmasters and Mayhem Devils were mine. All the Deluges and Culling Rituals hit me, and I ended up winning this game, not realizing that one of the bounce spells had returned someone's Wandering Protection, and when I went for my Breach Win, they had protection. And I had already exiled every win con in my deck. So I was absolutely cooked, and I ended up winning at instant speed a couple turns later, where they brain freezed me with my Breach on the stack, and I was milled out, and so I ended up looping Noxious Revival 9 times, Chain of Vaporing all my rocks back to hand to get the storm count up, brain freezing them, and then wheeling and winning.
Oh my god!
And like you can just find a way. Yeah.
So, Wounded, we can move on to some of the questions that you seem like you added that seemed like you were pretty ready to answer. Which cards?
They're just yeah. There just weren't a lot of questions, so I made a list. Sorry.
Yeah, no, they're good. They were good questions, and a lot of people like them. So, which cards do you guys feel like have overperformed based on your expectations you had for the card when you started playing it?
Overperformed?
Yeah.
Ooh. Honestly, I think when I first saw Boro, I was like, this can't be that good. I think that's the obvious one, but definitely Malevolent Rumble. 100% Malevolent. God, I love that card so much. Or there it is.
Underperformer when I tried it.
Oh my god. I know you don't like it. That's why I think it's crazy still. I was like, what? You don't even play it.
Hey, the fact that you're not a Dryad Arbor is blasphemous to me.
I don't want a tapped land. It's a tapped land.
It's not a tapped land. It's a fucking Cradle Increaser. I can literally just fetch a land for a goddamn Dark Writ because I have Earthcraft and Cradle and Deserted Temple. It's amazing.
I know. I want to play it, but I don't want to be on. I don't know what to cut. I can't cut anything. I don't know. I mean, you see us arguing about cuts and changes, anyways. Like this happens all the time. Like, even with how close our lists are, like, why would you still play this? I don't like this. Or like, why would you not play Malevolent Rumble?
We talk about it a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But I mean, Oboro's been a huge overperformer. That was a card when it was first asked to me. I was like, nah, this card looks like ass. I'm not even gonna try it. And then someone was like, you should try it. And I tried it, and I immediately like sniped a kill with it because I just corded for 2 and no one saw it. And I was like, huh. That's
Oh, I
wild.
have 7 creatures, Cradle and Pound. It's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
How
so
do you
good.
guys?
Also,
Pull...
like
Oh, go ahead.
Natio Storming. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, dude.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like the fact that I've had games of one where just like my Cradle taps for 9, and I have a Biomancers, and I just start Natty storming through my deck with Oboro, just taking every land on purpose. Has
Not
been really
casting
cool.
spells, just
Yeah.
spinning. Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
How do you guys politically navigate this deck, and what do you feel like consistently helps you move forward? And what tactics have you felt have been detrimental with this deck?
I would actually
Mm.
like to jump back to the overperforming cards real quick, just to say a
Go
couple
for
from
it.
my list that I've really
Yeah,
obviously I think Pigeon sudden substitution is one for you. You didn't mention,
Well, I think
but
you said.
for me,
Oh, okay, okay. I think you said
for
underwhelming.
me when I started playing the deck, the biggest surprise to me was Biomancers. I
Yeah.
immediately fell in love with the Biomancers game plan, and that's why I added Training Grounds pretty quickly afterwards. Springheart Nantuko was my first card I added to the deck that didn't seem like anyone was on. That card has
Yeah.
been phenomenal. I win, I feel like, most of my Simic games at this point, just bestowing that into Cloud of Fairies. The Dryad Arbor has really been a game changer since adding it. Being able to fetch for a creature is huge for cradle counts, huge for like developing your game plan. It matters in so many more situations than you ever think it would matter, and it's a super cool piece to have. Beyond that, Nature's Rhythm has been insane. Mistrise Village has been
Oh my god.
insane. You mind scrolling down for me, Pigeon?
Yeah, dude. Nature's Rhythm, single-handedly like the best card we've gotten. I think in like 2 sets. So
Big
good.
overperformer, I guess, from expectations. When I first tried the deck, I very much thought this town ain't big enough was going to be a card I'd cut.
Oh, dude.
I have not. You'll see. That card is sick.
Definitely.
That card is so gas, dude. You'll see in the streamed game or my buddy's YouTube channel game I was on recently. I was breaching and I was just using this town ain't big enough to get back my mana rock and bounce their Ristic, and did that multiple times to make sure I wasn't
Yeah.
running out of mana, which was super nice.
And getting rid of the draw
Yeah.
engines, right?
Yeah, that's it works on double duty. It's so good during song creation turns. It's so good for
I
just buying
bounced
back your Ewit or
on my
especially in
fish.
display for kitten turns, or bouncing back your
Yeah.
fish. Like there's so many uses for it. It's been really good. And then the last one is Chatterstorm. Another card I really expected to cut when I started playing the deck, and it's like I said, I've spell secret for it. That's not something I ever would have thought I would do. I mean, I drew 17 cards with it after I cloned a Marnius. Like card's been gassed.
Hey, Banded Popper, by the way. Don't you forget it.
Is it actually?
Oh,
That's sick.
yeah, dude, this card's good. It's 2 mana.
And then what was your next question, Tony?
Next question was politically navigating this deck in a pod. What kind of political tactics do you guys feel consistently help, and what kind of tactics do you guys feel are detrimental when you're playing?
You wanna go ahead next?
Sure. I think what's been really effective is just being really clear that you're not pushing, right? Where I've said this deck wants patience, this deck wants the long game. So a lot of times in cEDH right now, everyone's afraid of whoever's going for the win, and if you very calmly explain that you're not pushing at this time, a lot of times it just gets a little bit less eyes on you, and so you're able to get away with more to maybe like set something up but still be clear you're not winning, or just have people not be worried about interacting with you right away. When you're just saying things like, yeah, I mean, it would be cool if I could win the game, but that's not the position I'm in right now. I'm not pushing on my turn. I don't think there's a draw in my deck that changes that. Stuff like that has been really helpful. And then being willing to really openly converse with people, because again, like the overarching political strategy of this deck is make the game go long a lot of the time, especially in our versions of it. And so having these really open political conversations at the table about how to best stop people, working almost as a team against whoever's the active player, is really good, because you just keep the game continuing, and all you want to do is keep buying turns, keep untapping your mana with this deck. Those are the things I've had the most success with. Things I've had the least success with politically, song creation for sure. People fucking hate that card. But
for sure.
so I guess a political thing I've done on this deck is a lot of times I've revealed a breach, or I've revealed a Song of Creation off of Thrasios activation, and so it's visible. And I will very purposefully, if I'm not going to be going for it, discard it to hand size.
Yeah.
To take the ire off of me from the table, where I say, look, like I know this is scary, and put it in the yard, and I do that while very aware that I can Ewit, Noxious, Shifting Woodlands it back whenever I need to.
Oh my god. Dude, I'm gonna bring this up real quick. Sorry. My favorite thing I've added recently, I forgot to say, was the Frantic Search. I just went Frantic Search, discard my Song of Creation, play land for turn, Shifting Woodland, make it a Song of Creation, and just won. Like, what are they gonna do? They can't do shit. They can besage you my copy of Song, I guess, or bounce it. Like, oh my god, the card's been so good. I'm in a very similar spot. Like, there's so many scenarios where I've been like, I could obviously win right now. Or like, like we always talk about, like, you don't have to push, no reason to. I could obviously try and win right now, but I'm not going to because I'd rather just cast this One Ring or this value piece and pass, and then hold up 2 spins because I don't want to be the scariest person at the table. I don't want to be the first person pushing. I don't want to be the threat, right? And you never want to be the threat in this format right now because they'll just 3v1 you, and they have to because the deck is hard to stop. Being sure to, like, hey, I'm gonna do this. This is my intention with this card or this spell or this tutor. I'm not gonna win. I'm gonna do this and pass. I'll hold up interaction. I'll help the table. Taking the eyes off you, like what Max is saying too, is very the best way to get better, I think. Yeah.
Trying to think of anything else specifically political for this deck that's been very helpful. Actually, I think being a deck that openly draws cards, where people can almost like count and see how many cards we're gonna be able to draw Thrasios. Reminds me a lot of, you know, when I was on Nadu and I would have my my target lands in my mana base, and people would be like, "Oh my god, he's gonna draw 2 cards or whatever." Very similar. Very similar. You can, you know, point to the Tymna player and say they just drew 3 cards for nothing. You don't know what they are. I'm gonna draw 2.
Yep.
You get to see what they are. You know, pay mana for it,
Or if they're lands
know,
that go in.
yeah, or sometimes it's, you know, there's a Ristic Study player at the table and they're like, oh my god, he has 2 Thrasios activations up. Like, he's just drawing cards. I'm like, he's gonna draw more than 2 cards in this turn cycle. You're
For
aware
free.
of that, right? For free. Like, not being harsh about it. You never want to yell at that at the table, but just really calmly, even saying it almost exactly like I said. Just like, I mean, sure, I'm gonna draw these 2 cards, but there's a Ristic Study there. You know, let's be real about which one's probably going to generate a little more advantage right now. Like, I don't think my 2 revealed cards for 8 mana are what you have to worry about.
Yeah. It's a good thing to, like, talk about, like visualize to them like what you're actually going to be doing with the mana you have or the tutor you have or whatever, and like be reasonable because you are, instead of being scary and wasting their interaction, being reasonable. You don't have to push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's good. So next, given that you guys are both on the inclusion of Breach, what package of cards do you think is necessary to have with it? Do you have to run the full Breach with LED and Brain Freeze if you're running it, or can you just run it as a value Breach? What do you guys think about that?
I guess you could.
You could. My opinion is the minimum package is Breach, LED, Brain Freeze, and Gamble.
Definitely Gamble.
Those 4 cards. But it's more specifically like the mana required to be able to go for a Breach line through Gamble if you're relying on like Earthcraft Malevolent Rumble. It doesn't actually result in you having a big graveyard, and it's like tight and it's a lot more mana to set up versus just having a clean line of LED Brain Freeze has been so good. And I mean, again, having LED and Brain Freeze is, I'm discarding hand size a lot. Like, they're free pitches, you know. I will pitch a Brain Freeze Forceful. I don't care. But then also, I mean, a big thing you'll notice, and this might also compare to the play pattern differences in ours and Sam's, or especially with Yoshi Thras, like, we are more non-creature based. You know, I am looking for Song Creation triggers. I'm looking for Displacer Kitten triggers. I'm looking for Valley Floodcaller triggers. That is a lot of what I'm trying to accomplish in this deck. And they're just non-creature spells that are cheap and free to cast. You know, I have so many times cast an Underworld Breach to flicker my Cloud of Fairies. I don't give a fuck if they counter the breach.
Like, I think the difference is, like, people always say LED isn't good, and I can kind of understand it for Brain Freeze. Like, there's some other upside. That's fine if you don't think so. Like, that's fine. But LED is, like, just good. I've so many times pitched the 3 lands in my hand to spin Thrasios for 1 actual mana, or Nature's Rhythmed for 3 green with an LED, or, you know, all these other weird situations. Like, my tutors on the stack, crack LED, get whatever I want. Like, there's really good scenarios. This card is, like, not bad at all. It's the reason it's this expensive on the reserve list. Again, I can see the understanding for Brain Freeze. I'm not gonna argue that much on that. But LED is very, very good. Again, even if you're just flickering Kitten or Song, which are just also insane, you have free upside, even if you never crack it once.
Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah.
be, like, again, it's one of the best hits in the deck on a Song of Creation.
100%.
It's actively what I want.
100%.
You know, it's one of the best things to trigger Valley Fell Color. And I mean, Brain Freeze, yeah, like they're not great cards, right? Are they the best cards in the deck? Absolutely not. Are they cards that most of the game I don't want to see? Yeah, I'm 100% with you. But that to me is the minimum package. I'm personally also on Wheel of Fortune. I mean, I like the wheels. I'm not like the wheels to me aren't like, oh my god, they're uncuttable and they're a requirement for the strategy. But I am definitely a fan of the wheels, and they're not there to feed the breach. They're there to refill because this deck often mulligans for just a shitload of fucking mana. I've ripped a lot of turn one wheels recently, and they've been great.
Oh, it's like the same with Rogside in the thinking of like all I do is make a lot of mana early or push, so why not disrupt? It's disruption more than anything. Like I'll get 7 new cards, I just dump to my hand. You guys don't know what you're gonna get, and your turn one mana dork might not matter because you might not have another land in your wheel. Whereas I always have the backup plan of just Thrasios, even if I don't have anything else, pay for later, like whatever.
Yeah.
You'll get there most of the time.
Nice. I don't know how much we have more questions. I don't know how much more time you guys got.
I got some more time.
I do not
keep
have a
going.
time limit right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
All right. Cool. We'll keep going on some of these questions. Do you play differently in Swiss rounds versus top cut rounds? And then
100%.
if you could expand on that.
100p, dude. I think you can be a little bit more. I'll say not
Bucket
wishy-washy.
ball.
You can push a little harder in Swiss, right? Maybe round 1 or 2 especially. You can get away with a little bit more. Maybe the player knowledge is a little less, or maybe the people you're playing against you don't know as well, and they don't know your deck or whatever. You can get away with a little more. Your political aspect, I think, should be better, because you can like, hey, I'm doing this for this value piece. I'll show you my hand. This is what I'm doing. I'm not pushing. Compared to like top cut, top 16, where I'm actually actively pushing everything I do to resolve or to go through because it's a lot more cutthroat and that's my last chance to be in. So you can like afford to lose a round or two and it be okay. Obviously not in top 16, right? Mindset's a little different too.
My mindset is pretty much the same in both. I don't play them actually very differently at all. I think the primary difference is I know that my advantage in Swiss rounds is I tend to be very good at orchestrating the table politically, and that's something I can definitely do more effectively in Swiss rounds, where there are players with a little less total knowledge, and when I'm very calmly and clearly explaining exactly what the other person is trying to do, they listen to me. So you're able to, direct the table a little more in Swiss rounds, which can lead to you setting up some advantage situations for yourself to get some victories, which is very helpful. And those situations don't come up as much in top 16 and top 4 because everyone is normally playing at a really high level and everyone's pretty aware of what everyone is doing. So it comes down a lot more to pure magic play at that point and just not making mistakes, and being patient and all that kind of stuff. So I do get Pigeon. You can definitely push a little bit harder in Swiss rounds. I also think that weirdly people are almost more greedy in top 16 and top 4, where I feel like I see more of those games end on a really early turn because people are so focused on keeping safe advantage hands. They're often less focused on keeping interaction.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you can get away with a really quick win in top 4 and top 16.
Turn 2 Song Creation and Assault Monolith.
Yeah, I don't want to, my Multiple, bro. My Multiple. My 2 lands, Springheart and Tuco Swan Song.
If you're playing in a very turbo focused pod, all right, there are turbo decks in your pod. Do you mulligan aggressively for interaction, or do you try to be faster than them? How do you not instantly lose if you're in a pod with 1 or 2 other turbo decks?
I think ever trying to be faster than the committed turbo decks is, unless your hand is land, Lotus Petal, Breach, LED, Brain Freeze, not the way to go.
Yeah.
I think that is a terrible play pattern. At the same time, Unfortunately, that's not a hand. Like I'll keep a lot of hands that are built around like turn 3. I'm getting my Cradle with the Thrasios activation up. I keep that hand all the time in mid-range matchups, and that's not something I can keep against double Rogside or Rogside Dihada or something like that because I know I'm losing that game. So in those situations, I'm either mulliganing to have a piece or 2 to stop something while still having a reasonable mana-based advantage plan, or I'm mulling for a card advantage engine where I will say, look, I have the Ristic Study on turn 1 here, or I have the Fish on turn 1 here, or I have the Ristic on turn 2, whatever it is, and I'll say, this is my best chance in this game, is hoping that this card advantage can help me to victory, and I accept that if I lose to Turbo, I lose to Turbo, but you don't want to completely hinder yourself. I'm not going to keep a hand that's 3 lands and 4 counter spells. Like, that's not realistic. The most important question you ask yourself when you're mulliganing is an opportunity to set yourself up for success. And you have to ask yourself when you look at your hand, hypothesizing the game forward, can this hand realistically carry me to victory? And if the answer to that question is no, you put it back.
Yeah. I think the one exception is like, oh, if I top deck a land, I have the best fucking hand I've ever seen in my life, and this turbo player can also get there. But even then, you should probably just look at especially Rogside, or like you said, like even some of just the like Mardu decks, or maybe Rakdos decks that'll just like way turbo out faster than you. There's no reason to try and beat them. I don't think there's a world you're beating them. You'd have to have the nutted hand, like Max is saying. Like, there's just no way. When they can turn to Necro with maybe protection, you can turn to Cradle with spins. Like, that's so different and not the same. There's no reason to push. We play a lot of free interaction for a reason, even if it's a misstep, even if it's a MBT, right? Like, at least keep something if you can, and if you have to mold down low, keep a scary mold low, because they'll hopefully stop the turbo player first, and then you should have a little bit of a green light, I don't know. Turbos in the pod do change the dynamic though, because they'll waste all the things, and then you have like an easier way to push. So
yeah.
When do you feel that it's suitable to wheel, and are there moments that you won't wheel at all?
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
There's definitely a lot of moments I don't wheel. I laugh about those all the time when I get them on a Ristic Study draw. I'm like, yo, check out this twisty baby. Well, I have 9 cards in hand. I'm obviously not doing it. I pitch that shit to fucking force all the time. No, normally if I'm wheeling, it's in the first 2 turns.
Yeah.
Normally. There are absolutely exceptions to that, right? There's been plenty of mid-game states where it's just like, I got blown out. I have 3 cards in hand, or I have 2 cards in hand. Everyone else has a grip. Like, sure, I'm a twisty here. Like, that definitely increases my win percentage, right? Again, the question you ask yourself with everything you do is, does this increase my win percentage to cast this card?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a scenario that you could turn to wheel, but everyone else just throw out all their mana rocks, they have a shitload of mana on board, and you're just going to pass and most likely lose the game, no, don't wheel. Just activate Thrasios instead.
Yeah.
That's what's so nice about this deck, is being able to just activate Thrasios instead of doing other things.
Yeah. There's also some good political aspects for a wheel. Be like, well, he just tutored and passed. Like, I don't know if I'm getting another turn if I don't cast this wheel. Let's fucking send it and see what happens. And then they discard like a win, right? Or like a protected win or something similar. Like, oh, there goes my breach. Even if it's not always the perfect scenario, basically, do I lose if I don't cast it is a very relevant like issue. The blue farm player has a bowmaster out. Like, okay, you want to kill this player that has insane value and then never shoot me with your bowmaster? I'll wheel into it. I don't care. I've done stupid things like that because we need to do it to not lose. It's an option. Again, even if I never cast it or if I pitch it to the force like a windfall or whatever, that exists. But there's no reason to not in the deck that makes like 400 mana sometimes, in my mind. I think our only difference is like Twister versus Windfall, but I think I like the little more upside better sometimes. There's definitely been times when my Windfall's been like for 4 or 5, and that's been a little rough. But also gives the opponents 4 or 5 cards instead of 10 cards, right? So if you have to pass, you don't just screw yourself. I don't know. Wheels are good.
Sure. How do you play the mirror match? As both decks will play a lot of clones, do you still run out valid pieces with the potential of them, the potential out there of them getting cloned. I know you guys played the mirror match in the final at the Heisenberg that didn't last too long. But how would you guys play a mirror match? And what strategy advice would you give?
Don't be the first to have the cradle.
Why? I'm fine to be the first to have the cradle. I mean, my goal is to be better than the other RogThras, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
weird thing with when I used to talk about the Kinnan mirror match, I used to say be the slightly worse Kinnan. That was a lot of what I was based around was be
Yeah.
the slightly worse Kinnan because
That's
you
what you
could
want,
get
yeah.
away with so much more. But I actually don't think that's what I want with this deck.
Really?
Yeah, because this deck gets so much card advantage so quickly when it sets up its mana, I'm actually happier to just do my game plan as I would normally do it and not really care as much what the RogThras is up to. Like, I just want to do what I'm doing. And absolutely pay attention to, if they get out to a crazy start, push people to interact with them because you can say, hey, I'm playing the deck. I know that where this is headed, like, this does have to be halted proactively. You can use that to your political advantage. Or, if you're doing better, just be better, right? Like just focus on protecting what your setup is and allow them to come into the game, right? I think that's a really big thing people miss is if you are being significantly ahead of the table, allow other people to come in if you're not in a position to win the game, because then you're not the only thing people have to worry about. I don't think the mirror match of this deck is the same type of mirror as Kinnan, where Kinnan has so many cards that shut down the other Kinnan because of Thorn Mammoth and Void Winter and those kinds of things, versus RogThras doesn't really shut down RogThras at all. We kind of just help each other because of the clones and all those types of things in a lot of ways. So yeah, I don't think it's as much a battle of arms compared to where other mirror matches hold up. I think it's much more just like do your thing.
I
Is
see
how
it
I
more
play
as
it
like a
anyway.
ROG side though. Like if there's one in the pod, like one of them will win because you can only stop so many of the things that this deck does, right? Even already, but if there's two of them now, it's like, well, shit. Uh, what do we do with the second one? We just stopped the first Cloud of Fairies, Borrowin. Now what do we do? I don't know. I think depending on the pod, it's different, but I try to like sit back a little more because I want to be the one cloning their stuff, Like I want to be the one not committing to a certain engine or draw, and I can just feed off of theirs and then do my own second thing, which I like. I do like being a little bit slower in those matches, especially if my hand is just mana. Then I can just be like, I don't need a game plan. I'll spin Thrasios, find it, and then do whatever they're doing or better.
Yeah.
I don't know. It always
I just
depends on pod though.
my fear going against this deck is I just have had so many hands that set up such crazy advantage on turn 3, right? Where I have 8 mana and a Seedborn.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not keeping up with that if I'm not trying to match it, right? Like trying to purposely
True.
be worse than that doesn't seem like the path forward to me.
That's fair.
It's different on Kinnan, where Kinnan has a lot more individual things you can hit that matter a lot. And so it's like if the other Kinnan was aggressively slapping their dick on the table, you can just point to say, this is the thing to blow up, and it really halts them. Versus RogThras, like, sure, if it's Seedborn, it's obvious, but it's a little bit more. If Cradle's hard to interact with, right? If they don't have the interaction for Cradle, I'm more so pushing them to like hit the other person's Thrasios.
Which is crazy to think in 2025. Kill his Thrasios.
Dude, it's like the real bottleneck of the deck. That was kill the fucking Thrasios.
Dude, it is. Someone put in the chat earlier. It happened to me the night. Like, oh well, what happens if your Thrasios gets Gilded Raked? And I'm like, yeah, that actually does suck a lot. Like, unironically,
but
yeah, that's the hope, right? But like, what do you do if you have no cards that have no other dungeons? Like, oh fuck.
then you're cooked.
It's like surprisingly the way to deal with the deck, or like Cursed Mirror, or not Cursed Mirror.
It was really unfortunate that in my top 16 at Heisenberg, I was against Ian and Colin, who are two good friends of mine, who I'd both explained my deck to very thoroughly. And I'd explained to them, like, yeah, the choke point's really just Thrasios. They murked that shit on site on repeat. My Thrasios cost 10 the last time I cast it. Yeah.
Ugh. It's pretty funny.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So do you guys ever get focused on because of who you are and not based on your board state? And if so, how do you deal with this? And this is probably relevant for people who go down to their LGS or with their play group and pick up the deck and have been playing it and like pub stomp a couple games and now all the focus is on them. But I'm sure you guys deal with this. And what would be your advice for people on how to deal with something like this?
You can go first, Pigeon.
I mean, I think you just like kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, okay, you can do the scary thing and be scary, but not every hand you keep is doing the scary thing. Like sometimes I'm just sitting turn one training grounds, turn two Thrasios, and then I have two spins next turn or whatever. Like that's all you need sometimes. And if you're not doing anything, someone will become a threat before you. You know what I mean? Like this is cEDH. There's 4 players. Like someone will do something scary before you do if you just sit back and wait a little bit. And then the whole game you can be like, well, no, look, they're scary, which is true because they are. And then you can do some scarier things and get away with more. You don't have to always be the one like turboing out 12 mana turn 3. As much as it's great and the deck can do it, you don't have to do it.
But I think his specific question for you was, do people know who you are at this point and fuck
Oh,
you over
yeah.
just because of who you are?
100%. But then I'll just tell them don't do that because I'm sitting here with nothing.
You are a very friendly looking guy.
I'm a little pigeon, bro. I'm just a little pigeon.
dude. You're a dove.
I don't know. I think if they want to do that, that's fine. And then they'll easily lose the game, and everyone will look at them like an idiot because they're an idiot, and then that's okay too. It sucks, but like once they do that shit once, I don't think they'll continue to do that shit.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
okay.
my unfortunate reality, and this might come as a shock to some, but a lot of people don't like me.
Surprised
So, no,
being
I
a
definitely-
two-face.
So I definitely draw some what I would call unreasonable ire from some. I love being called a professional cunt in a tournament game for no reason.
Oh, God.
Yeah, people are so nice.
Yeah.
No, I definitely get some hate for who I am, and I mean I work around it best I can.
Yeah.
It's really it's kind of what Pigeon said. It's I just asked them to be realistic here and look at the situation. Like I understand you've heard things about me. Look at the actual context of where we're at right now. Am I really the problem? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've come to the point of accepting that I am going to lose a percentage of games because people are predisposed to certain opinions of me, and I come to accept it.
Yeah. There's only so much you can do, right? Even politically. Be like, okay, you obviously don't want to listen, and that's fine. So I'll just let you get fucked and then realize you got fucked, and I tried to tell you. I don't know. Okay.
I mean, I will never forget for the rest of my life when I was at Salt City or Salt Fest on my winning in round 7, and we're against Urza, and I'm on Kinnan, and there's another, it was Blues Clues, and there was a Shaline Holar player, and Urza's on the play. They have Karn the Great Creator out. They have like 20 mana on board. They have Urza. They have everything. Like they are so set up to win this game. And I have 2 lands, 1 elf and Kinnan. All my mana rocks are turned off by the Karn. And I'm having a conversation with the Shaline Holar player and how we need to stop Urza and like we need to do something about it. And he goes, "Okay, cool. Pat to exile your Kinnan." It's like, excuse me? He did not take that play back.
I would like to concede the game.
Yeah.
Oh, I won that game. Fuck that guy. But
crazy.
yeah, no, it's definitely, it happens, and it is when I can tell, because I always try and give people the benefit of the doubt that they're not doing something to fuck me over just because of who I am. But definitely the times that I can tell or they're directly explicit about it, it is frustrating.
It's a little
Definitely frustrating.
I don't know. You can only do so much though.
Yeah. All right. Given Temur's inability to tutor for enchantments, it makes sense to not rely on Breach as a main win con and Song Creation as an immediate win label slapped on it bigger than an Eiffel Tower. However, what are some of the reasons that you guys do run cards like Training Grounds and Cryptolith Right when they aren't tutorable and do not give the same power or potency as a card like Breach or Song? Given that you have creature effects, which are much more tutorable, why include these cards?
We don't play crypto right first.
Okay.
Neither of us do. But I mean, Breach and Song are different. I think the fact again that they can just be either a win con or pure value or get all my stuff back or win the game 2 turns from now just gives way too much. This is still the best win condition in cEDH. I don't think other people can argue that it's not. Even in Temur. You have so many options if you're just valuing or if you're just fucking getting a Cloud of Fairies from your graveyard, or if you're just flickering Kitten with it, right? Like, there's so much insane about this 1 in red enchantment that you don't need to be able to tutor it. It's just that good. Song's a little different, but I think the main issue is the main conversation's about Breach. So it's like there's literally no reason why you wouldn't.
Oh, I heard this question differently than you. I heard the question, why are we playing these not obvious win condition ones?
Yeah, like
How
not
so?
super
Which,
over. Like, yeah, exactly.
like Earthcraft and training grounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my reason for that is, let me try and explain this, I guess, somewhat metaphorically with how other decks work. If someone shows you a new spoiled commander, and I say, "Oh my God, this commander is specifically broken with exactly Phyrexian Altar and Gravecrawler," and oh, you get Warren Soul Trader too. You're like, okay, but that's like 3 cards and they have to be specific, and one of them is the only one that does anything. And so it's like, cool, you have a cool cEDH win line, but it's probably not going to be the most consistent thing. And what's specifically powerful about this deck is, it's more of a deck where I say, oh, cool, this is a commander that's printed and it combos with any of these 4 cards and any of these 4 cards, where there's so much redundancy for what it's attempting to do that you're astonished at what it's capable of. We're more like Teshar than we am something that combos with 2 specific pieces, where we have an insane amount of redundancy for every single thing we're trying to do. And that's what all the other enchantments just fall into, right? Training Grounds is the consistency of Thrasios activations. Earthcraft is the consistency of mana. The axes we are trying to assemble are advantages of cards and mana, and they both fall into that plan. So I don't give a flying fuck about tutoring for them. They're just more cards in my dense package of cards that lead to me doing exactly what I want to be doing.
I see the question. I see. Yeah, 100%. The fact that our commander that we focus on doing a lot of stuff with is 2 mana in the command zone is so good to not want to be able to like abuse stuff with it, or like, sure, I don't need the Earthcraft, or sure, I don't need the training grounds, but like they're so cheap and give me so much for how little it is that even if I'm never tutoring for them, the value it outgrows me compared to something else, like just a creature that I can tutor for, is way better. I
I
think
play Biomancers over Training Grounds, but I
so
want
good.
both.
Yeah. Like, again, you can tutor for this card way more, but it's also more expensive. But also you can tutor for it more. So like, I'd rather this, but both.
Both at the same time is even better.
Dude, just have
Yeah.
3 of each. It'll
I
still
just want
cost
my
1,
Thrasios activations
but just
to
have 3
cost
of
1
each.
mana. That's all I want. I just want them to cost 1 mana. And I want to have a Cradle that taps for 9. That's all I
Yeah.
want.
It's pretty reasonable ask if you ask me. I don't know.
Mhm.
I might be biased. It's reasonable.
Why no Surveil Land? Do you guys run the Surveil Land or
Neither of
no?
us.
Neither
Fuck
of us
tap
do.
lands, dude.
Why no Surveil Land?
You say
I,
that. I'm giving him
okay,
shit.
okay. Well, here. So. I mean, genuinely speaking, if you look at every other cEDH deck I have ever played in the history of ever, I have never played a single tap land. I tested the Surveil Land in Obnixilus because it was Rakdos, and I cut it after 2 games. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not about tap lands. There
Yeah.
are a couple exceptions I have made for this deck. Specifically, Mistrise Village is
Oh, yeah.
busted. So now, I mean, like, we play Mistrise. It's sometimes tapped, sometimes not tapped, but it is what it is. Dryad Arbor is often not really tapped for me because it adds 1 to the Cradle count, or I have Earthcraft. So, like, yes, it is a tap land, but it is not actually a tap land a lot of the time. And then Shifting Woodlands is sometimes tapped. Those are the only exceptions I have ever made to this rule in my history of ever. I think Surveil lands are absolute booty hole garbage, and you should not play them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any reason, especially if you're in more than 2 or 3 colors, that you should play Surveil, because why would you? You already have good advantage engines if you're in 3 colors, or things you're doing. So why, like, I think the one, and I've talked to a few people about this, that I just because I see it a lot, is like maybe Elsha, because guess what, you get to do stuff with the top of
Okay.
your deck.
Yeah,
Maybe
Elsha
that
makes sense.
one, maybe
Elsha
that
makes sense.
one, but like anything else, I'm like, this is stupid. Especially when I see
I
it in like
understand it in
blue form.
Rogsai. Like, I do get it in Rogsai sometimes, where a
Sure.
lot of times they're set up to, like, they just want to do Necro on turn 2, and that's fine. Like, they have the free go fetch for it. Like, I get it. I don't love it, but I get it. When I built Rogsai, I did not play the Surveil Land.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I mean, as I kind of stated earlier from my play patterns in total, I like steady floor. I like consistency. I like my things to always be working and not go for upside. Surveil lands are the opposite of that. They're a tap land. I don't care about the upside value of the Surveil. I want my lands to be untapped, making me mana when I need them to make my mana.
Super great. Missing one extra card isn't it's the land always entering tapped. Like these are different, right? Because they can enter untapped, and a lot of the times will enter normally. So I don't enjoy a permanently tapped land, no matter how it is.
Yeah, totally fair. Um, Growing Rights of Itlamok.
Gas,
Busted
Gas.
mid or
fucking gas. You ever
So
flickered this
fucking
with kitten?
gas, bro.
Bro, you ever
This
flickered this with
card is
kitten?
wild. Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's like
Dude,
a
I mean,
second
having
cradle.
another cradle, having another cradle is fucking insane in this deck, bro. It replaces itself. It only uses green mana. This card is fucking sick, bro.
Yeah. Just wait until you have a kitten out, nothing else to flicker. You just keep flickering for a bunch of creatures, and you get a fucking bunch of value. It feels good.
I don't think I've ever flickered this with a kid in a
Dude.
single time ever.
Just wait.
But
Oh yeah, here's
card's
this
dope,
thunder
dude.
trap off of it. Now I have a better target.
It's an easy replace itself card. I mean, I'll be real. It actually whiffs a ton. Like Thunder Trap Trainer never whiffs. Thunder Trap Trainer, homie. Growing Rights of Itlamok whiffs all the time for me, but I don't care. I'm paying 3 mana for a second cradle when I play it, and it replaces itself on mana immediately. Because again, I'm just trying to set up mana to activate Thrasios, and this is so good for that.
And if it is flipping, no matter what, it's a Thrasios activation anyways, or 2 if you have a reducer. So great, gas.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. Huge fan of the card. Not even remotely close to cutting it.
No, never.
I do want to mention Thunder Trap Trainer actually, because
goat.
That's probably the card I've been asked about the most from non-RogThras players. I'm sure you guys understand this, but the way I've described it to them, some of the people I've described it to are old Kinnan people, and so I've said, bro, it's Colossal Sky Turtle. Where what I mean when I say that is Colossal Sky Turtle is the best at nothing, but its flexibility makes it so sick. And this card is bad at everything it does. Like, it's not actually efficient at anything except for replacing itself for less than a Thrasios activation. That part's kind of gas. But overarchingly, it's just the flexibility of it's an otter for Valley Flood Caller. It's a blue creature for Flare Denial. It replaces itself on ETB. It's an incredible backup thing to flicker with Kitten.
You can pay for mana for a second one.
I've never done that a single time ever, Pigeon.
You've never done that? What?
No, I would rather just fucking activate Thrasios, bro.
No,
I want to hold up my
it
mana.
makes
I want to hold up my mana.
better.
I want to hold up my
my
mana.
god.
I don't care.
Oh my god.
Sure, maybe I'll do it to
a
like
lot.
win with Oboro sometime when it's my only option. I don't know, but it does a lot of little synergistic things in the deck, and that's why the card is sick.
Oh, it's like if it wasn't an otter, I'd hate it as a little bit more, but it is an otter, so
but
it makes it
is
better.
an otter, bro, which means when you have
And it's a wizard.
$5 it untaps 5 times.
And it's a wizard. It's like a cool.
Why does that matter?
It doesn't.
Wizard matter.
But if I did play Cavern, it'd probably be on wizard.
Wizard does not matter, bro.
Dude, there's so many wizards in this deck. Look at how many wizards there are.
I run step through, so I like that.
Bro, how down bad you got to be to step through your fucking Thunder Trap? That's not the spot you want to be in.
Never done that, but yeah.
Spellseeker, at least at that point. Come on, no.
Yeah, right? Like, I'll take Spellseeker over Thunder Trap for sure.
Yeah.
But it's there.
Yeah. It's an option. Blue Farm remains the best deck. Kinnan, Magna, Rockside, and others round out a solid top 5. What's it going to take for RogThras to unseat these decks?
I mean, I don't think it's close to unseating Blue Farm. Blue Farm is the best deck in the format, and I don't think it's pretty close to anything else. I just think it's the most brain-numbing, boring thing you could ever play, and I'm here to have fun, not just win. Though I like winning.
That's what I'm saying.
This deck is actively fun as fuck to play. Like, this deck is a good time to play, and Blue Farm makes me want to kill myself.
Where would you rank RogThras overall? Would you put it second? Third?
My next YouTube video quite literally is going to answer that question. So
okay, all right.
I think it's number 2 right now. A lot of people disagree with that, but I still think it's obviously Blue Farm first. This is second.
I will answer that my top 3 was Kinnan, RogThras, and Blue Farm.
Okay.
The order is definitely it's either 2 or 3 for him, but I do think it goes this then Kinnan, and even if that's the opposite for Max, it's like so similar, right? That just like it's crazy.
I mean, I think Kinnan operates in a very similar axis to this deck, and like my version of Kinnan, at least, I guess even Waffles too, is what's so powerful about Kinnan is the ability to be good early, mid, and late, and this deck, does that same thing really, really well.
Yeah.
Kinnan just gets more out of the command zone.
How has Tempt with Discovery, Born Upon a Wind, and Invasion felt?
What?
I'm very low on these cards.
Born? You're low on Born?
How you low on Born and Invasion?
What?
What the hell? What's
All
going
right.
on
Listen,
here?
listen.
I'm
Whoever
bringing
suggested this is
questions.
fine. No, you're
I'm
fine.
bringing
You're fine.
questions. Yeah.
I know. Whoever suggested it is fine. You gotta fucking play Born Upon a Wind because this is the format we live in. I wish it didn't come to this, but this is the format we play every day. So like you gotta be on the free cast stuff at flash speed. We have so many creatures, we have so many good sorceries and artifacts, so many good enchantments. You're not always gonna be on your turn, dog. Like you gotta play Born. And the worst case scenario is you just can't rip a card. The worst case scenario. There's
turns
absolutely no
out
reason.
when your entire game plan is holding up your mana every turn to go activate
Yeah.
Thrasios at some point in the cycle, it's pretty good to just Born with all your mana up.
Yeah. So good.
So good.
I think the same
Tempt.
with Invasion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we can get the Tempts too. I think Invasion's really, really good. Do you know how many times I've either flipped this bitch and gotten an 8/8 for another body for Cradle, or like bounced it with this town or something and just done it again? Or you can flicker. Max can flicker this and find a Dryad Arbor, which is funny.
I have done this. I have done that.
Yep. I didn't even know you did it, but I was like, he can do it.
I've done it.
You have so many beautiful scenarios. You don't need it to be a human. The only two humans we play are these two. So like, obviously those are really good cards, and I want to find them a lot of the time. But I can get literally any other creature in my deck.
Is it Borrow human? No, it's Merfolk.
No.
Moonfolk?
It's a Moonfolk.
Moonfolk wizard. Yeah. So we got Nature's Rhythm printed, and you'll notice we added it without taking any of the tutors away. If they printed another one, I would once again add it while taking none of the others away. We want more of these effects. They are incredible. We are a deck with lots of creatures that are what our deck is built around to get it churning outside of the Breach Song plan. Like, I know I've talked a lot about the non-creature basis of it, but a lot of that is still built around getting specific creatures on the battlefield to generate value.
Mm-hmm.
I love creature tutors. I love getting my Biomancer's Familiar. I love getting my Cloud of Fairies. I love getting my Seaborn Use. I want these things. They are amazing. I want more of them, not less of them.
And guess what? This card is a lot harder to counter than an instant or sorcery. So
the amount of times someone has said, "Oh, never mind, Swansong can't hit that."
Yep. Or Flusterstorm, or fucking anything. Like there's so many.
Yep. And because it's a permanent, you can get it off of Malevolent Rumble.
Yes, you can get a Malevolent Rumble. True. Yeah. Oh my god, true. So many good scenarios. I love
it. The Pigeon, Tempt with Discovery. You've been on that for a while.
Dude,
let everyone know how good it is.
I think Colin first told me about it. It may have been Complex Simpleton. And talking about it, I was like, "There's no way this card's good enough." Like the same thing I said with the deck, right? Like, there's no way. And I like tried it. I was like, "This seems good." I just got 4 lands for 4 mana, and I made 12 mana. Like that is pretty fucking good. And a lot of the time too, it's like, well, I'm way behind. I'm getting a land no matter what, and then they just all get one. It's not like the conversation is like, yeah, we'll not get one and you get one. Like, no. If you're gonna get a land, I want to get a land. I want my Ancient Tomb and be able to cast stuff. Oh, well, I'll get this. I have a Boseiju in hand, so I'll Boseiju his Cradle with it. I'm gonna get a land so I can Boseiju it now. And you're just like, okay, sounds good. 3 utility lands and Cradle. One of them usually Shifting Woodland. You Boseiju my Cradle. I'll make a bunch of mana and then have a second Cradle that turn, and I'll have it later. Like there's so many good scenarios where these 4 lands I usually get are entering untapped and directly into play that I just would never not like the card. Even if I cut it eventually. Like, it's so fucking good. So good. Oh my god. Oh. I love it.
Down
Wounded, you're gonna try it now?
You gotta try it.
I mean, we've talked about Tempt and Pigeon a bunch on the side. It's a card I'm close to giving a try.
Just try it
for sure. It is the first land tutor I would currently add over any others.
Yes, guys, I'm convincing him actively. Let's go.
It is just, I view it as bad sowing Microspawn is really how I view it.
For sure.
Yeah.
But the
Because
fact
like
that it can get
I just feel like
forward.
I just feel like it gets countered for me like every fucking time. People have been hating me on this deck recently, and that's just a card that I spend 4 mana on, and it just wastes my mana. Is
It's
how I
fine.
look at it a lot of the time.
Just tell them you're gonna get a tapped land and none of them take
I'm
it. And then they
not
don't
gonna
waste it.
fucking I'm not gonna accept that. I would rather like fuck that, dude. I don't know. Like
Tell them to
like,
counter it. I don't know.
like, dude, I'm not gonna agree to get a basic. Why would I do that? Unless I have Earthcraft, then sure. But like, I don't know. If
Like
you
not
cap
even
me,
a
tap.
basic. I'll just get this fetch land. Say you're gonna get a fetch land, bro. Like there's so many scenarios you could just go.
I
But you
hate
have
it.
Springheart and Tuco out. Why would I
That's
let you get
exactly
Fetchland?
what happened
Okay,
earlier.
yeah, I'm down with the Springheart. I
Oh
fucking
my
love
god.
Tuco.
The
No,
game earlier, I
it's-
had a Nantuko out, and I was like, tempt with Discovery, and I got 4 lands, and then like 4
Fuck do
Nantuko
you get
trigger.
4 lands, bro. How the fuck are you getting 4 lands?
Or it was
Crazy.
3. It was 3. I'm sorry.
6 Nantuko
Only 3.
triggers.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I love this world.
Do you anticipate making any changes to the deck based around some of the new cards that got spoiled recently?
Oh god.
The new 8 cards.
I wish Vivi didn't say only during your turn. That card would be in this deck so fast if it didn't say only during your turn.
Why?
Dude, if I had a 4/6 Vivi that just adds 4 blue every single turn for 3 free Thrasios spin, you tell me you wouldn't play that?
Yeah, I wouldn't, just because you have to cast 4
Oh.
non-creature spells before it does the thing.
That's easy to do, and no one's removing it. Whatever.
Well,
That
no,
card's not
a
in the
lot
deck.
of my games on this deck are like not casting any non-creature spells for. That's why I was super down to cut Third Path, is because I realized like
Yeah.
my artifact count's not that high. I'm normally just playing creatures, holding up Thrasios, and trying to activate. I'm not casting a lot of non-creatures.
Yeah, that's fair too. I don't know.
I'm casting a lot of non-creatures late. I'm not casting them early, so it's not a good setup card for me.
So no changes.
I mean,
Fire
fires
magic,
is
yeah.
interesting.
I would never play it. It fucks us. It just fucks
Yeah,
us.
no, I would never play it, but I'm saying against, like, if it becomes more
Against
heavily
us,
played,
yeah.
I just switch over to Kinnan.
True. I legitimately think this card is gonna like fuck this deck up so fucking bad.
It is
that
really,
I am
really good against
scared of
this.
it. Like actually scared of it. Nothing I saw like jumped out to me from the new set for this deck, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, nothing definitely jumped out for us. I think the changing meta. I think the really big thing to be aware of from my perspective is I anticipate the meta turning a little more turbo. I think a lot of people have come to realize that in the current metagame of everyone just being so focused on their advantage engines, it's kind of free to just sneak through these turn 2 RogThras dubs. And I expect to see a little bit of a resurgence on those types of strategies for a while until people, reevaluate how they play against them. In that world, I actually could see myself going a little up on interaction. I could see adding like Dispel and maybe another one. That might be the first changes I make in that world, because I think protecting ourselves becomes less of a concern there, and it's more stopping other people. So I think in a meta that becomes more proactive, I might be a little more focused on us being able to stop things more efficiently.
Yeah. I think there are going to be at least like 2 or 3 turbo decks, maybe potentially, that actually come out of this. Not just like good cards for them, like actual decks.
Yeah.
I think at least. But like I said, we'll just have to see what happens, adjust after like a month or so, and move on from there.
And I could
This
see
is
a
gonna
world
be a
where
big set.
if we get really turbo heavy, there's actually more of a world I could see myself, like in that world, I could see myself cutting Breach and Song. In a world we went very, very full turbo. Like if that just became like Mardu Summer style stuff again, I could see going off of those cards and going a little bit more on like maybe some stack pieces.
Cradle
Honestly,
stuff.
definitely
Oh,
going
stacks.
well. Not even, well, I know, like being a little more on stuff like Wandering Archaic, or going up on Endurance, or like genuinely, if there's a world where I could see us playing a Damping Sphere pretty effectively.
Interesting. Damping Sphere. What the fuck?
In a world that we cut Breach and Song.
But Cradle.
Oh, right, not Damping
No.
Sphere. Sorry.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, not Damping Sphere. Not Damping Sphere. Sorry, I always forget about the land part of that card. But the gist of what I'm saying, like play some stacks effects that are advantageous towards us and allow us to have a deeper card pool to stop the turbo matchup.
Trinisphere.
Ooh.
Yeah, honestly, we could be a banging Trinisphere deck.
Where do you guys play to grind games and get tournament practice? Or how do you guys get
I'll go
tournament
first.
practice?
play a fuck ton of games online, if not in person, like at one of the game stores up local. Like I just play a lot on even top tier bangers or like some other discords and just like jam as many games as I have the time to allot to it because it's good practice. It helps me stay relevant and like actively playing. My mind's sharp. If you have the time to, especially if you're not working as much, just fucking jam them. Like just fucking jam them, bro. I really love it. Again, mostly top tier bangers currently for online, but a lot of in
Mhm.
person too. What else?
For me, I would say I've had a weird year with Magic. I definitely took a big break after the first thing that happened at Cowtown, kind of in between there, and then I came back last October. And then Boil 2 happened. I took a pretty long break from Magic, and I'm just kind of now getting back into grinding a little bit. Haven't been playing too much. I try and get a couple of games here and there on Spell Table over the week, but honestly, the majority of the Magic I've played in the last 6 months has been tournament Magic,
Mhm.
which fortunately still going well as of now. But
Mhm.
you know, I would like to start playing more. Would love if I was a little more accessible to a consistent local scene. There's some here, so I go to a game store once every couple of weeks here, maybe we're for one night. But a lot of it's just the Spell Table games when I can fit them in. I got a new job as well 2 months ago, so I've been working the more regular 8 to 5, and
Mhm.
I've been very tired. a lot of weekday evenings, which haven't led to as much
Oh,
gameplay.
dude. Oh, dude. Me and my 410s, I am in agreement. A lot of hours in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're winding down. So favorite bling piece in your deck?
Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead.
My favorite bling piece. I will actually turn on the camera for this one. I have my deck right next to me, so you can go first. I'll pull mine out.
I think currently it's one of two cards for sure. It's either my Japanese foil song creation my roommate Kevin gave me. He gave it to me as a little gift. I really love it. It's beautiful. Or the Russian sudden substitution I got from Duncan. That finally came in, and it is beautiful. I love it.
I'm
He's
actually
whipping
gonna
it
show
out.
a few cards here.
He's whipping it out.
I am whipping it out. There's gonna be some stories here as well.
Oh no.
Oh no. There's the card. That's the big one. That one's pretty funny. That one I love. That one's got a great story to it. I think that should be a good collection here. Okay, I'm gonna talk about like 8 cards here. Some of them are gonna be pretty quick. Let me turn on my lights, actually. Do not judge me for how I look. I didn't expect to be on camera here. Let's see how this looks. Hello, everybody. Cards I'm going to talk through here. First one I'll talk about is Rograkh, Son of Rograkh. When Commander Legends was spoiled, I pre-ordered Rog and Arden, an entire equipment deck built around them, and that deck was dope as fuck for casual. And this is the same Rog from that deck. This Seaborn Muse was the first expensive card I ever purchased when I entered my second tournament ever, Chaos Treasure Series 3 on Kinnan with the deck that was mostly pieces of paper over basics, and I made my first ever top 4. I spent 100% of the winnings to get the OG foil Seaborn Muse because it was the card the deck deserved, and currently it's in RogThras. This Marcadia Mass foil island, I won in a game of darts against a buddy at a game store. This Wheel of Fortune was my second Wheel of Fortune. It was technically my first ever tournament win. My first ever big one was Chaos Treasure Series 11 on Talion, but my first ever win was on Kinnan in about a 30-person local event that I went 6-0 and got to win this Wheel of Fortune. OG Foil Rustic Study. It's fucking gorgeous. If you don't have one, get one. My OG Foil Brain Freeze, specifically, it is in Portuguese. I originally started playing cEDH when I was living in Brazil, so I like Portuguese cards because I can actually read them. So I love this one. Candelabro Tanos. It's just a flex piece. I have this. I traded for it. I traded a Volk for it. And the reason I traded that Volk for it was because this was the first altar I ever bought quite a while ago. This is a real volcanic island. It was painted by Jonas Wedin. He's an artist in Germany. And I messaged him after I figured out who did it. And he told me it was one of the first altars he ever did years ago. So super happy to have this guy. I love this card. My Gaia's Cradle is an altered Gaia's Cradle. The secret story with this Gaia's Cradle is that I'll tell them. I don't care, Pigeon. Underneath this beautiful hand painted altar is actually a swastika. A swastika with other lines added to it. A buddy of ours bought it. He thought it was a GP promo stamp. It was listed as damaged at a game store. And someone pointed out that the swastika symbol thing was two different types of pen. It was one darker swastika in the middle and then a bunch of other pen lines around it to turn it into not a swastika. And so he had it shipped off to France to be altered. And once he got his Judge Cradle, he was willing to trade this one to me because I love the art on it. It's beautiful. And I think Max Sternberg, the raised Jewish boy, is the correct person to have the swastika cradle. And then if I had to pick one bling piece in the entire deck, the number one would be my altar of Enduring Vitality, which is my dog Suki. So I had this done by Modfly. That is her favorite ball, the only toy she cares about, and she is my little princess Sweetums, and so I'm super happy to have her be mine during Vitality.
Sweet Suki.
Sweet Suki. We love Suki.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
That's awesome stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome stories. And then the last question that I have, we've got through all of them. Your nicknames. Where do they come from? What's the story behind them? Oh,
You can go first,
why
Pigeon.
do you guys go by them?
Dude, mine's so boring. I like, I've been online for a lot of my life, like probably more than half of it now, right? I just like needed a nickname to go by. I wasn't gonna go by like some boring ass like my name or anything. So I just liked pigeons, and I had a photo saved on my computer of a fucking pigeon. So I was like, oh, I'll go by Pigeon, and then that became Pigeon Eyes because it's like a little more specific, like for like a Twitch name or something like that. And that's all it is. It's just stuck around, and it's also easy to say, so people just call me Pigeon or Joseph or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty boring, but it's funny.
I actually do need to turn on the camera one more time for this because I have a tattoo that's part of this explanation. When I grew up, I never had an Xbox or a PlayStation or anything that would ever force me to have a gamer tag or an Xbox name or any of those types of things. So I never had one growing up. And when I was in college, I fell in love with the band Incubus, and I ended up getting a full tattoo based on them, where you'll notice this damaged satellite this year. The line from the song Animali that I always really liked the most was blah blah blah, like a wounded satellite, and I really appreciated that it spoke to being hurt but still connected. I've had a very very rough past that not a lot of people know about, so that was super important and relevant to me. And when I think it was when I signed up for Twitch for the first time to watch like an MTG Goldfish stream or something, and I had to come up with a name, and I'd never done that before, so the first thing that popped into my mind was Wounded Satellite, which was my favorite line from an Incubus song, and so that's just kind of stuck with me ever since, and now it's what people know me as.
Much better than Pigeon. Pigeon.
Yeah, that's great. That was really great. I didn't know that. I love Incubus myself. All right. I mean, that's basically all you guys. I mean, any other questions that were kind of up, you guys definitely answered throughout the entire thing. I appreciate you guys doing this. You didn't have to, and you did, and I'm sure everyone else got a lot out of it. Yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, that's really all I got.
Any last minute questions want to pop through?
Yeah, I mean,
Anything
if anyone
important?
has a question
Yeah.
or anything that they want to ask, they could raise their hand. I could
Oh, is that a thing?
I could get them on. I could get them on the thing. So if you have something you
type
want
in
to
the chat
ask,
too.
Yeah,
they could type it in the chat. Yeah.
both is good.
People are typing. People are typing.
I got
people typing.
Zach from Sad Boy Hours raised his hand, so I'm just gonna invite him to speak.
Sure.
Zach,
what would you say are the best tips for somebody just coming into the deck?
Ooh. I would definitely say consider more of your mulligans than anything else. Like if your mulligan is just mana, probably good enough. If your mulligan has a game plan, keep it. Or if there's something to do. A lot of things I see newer players, especially on like this deck, gets focused on is like lines and wins and stuff. But if you don't keep a good hand, you
Pigeon cut out for me. Did he cut out for anyone else?
Yeah, he cut out
Yeah.
for me as well.
Okay. On that same thought, I don't know if he's speaking to the wind right now, unaware that we can not hear him. Yeah, I'd say don't focus too much on winning the game. I think that that's a lot of things people get stuck up on with kind of every deck when they're first entering CDH is, oh, how do I win? But it's a process to get to that win, and that's really what you need to focus on. And I would say just try things, right? Like don't be afraid to make mistakes. The biggest thing with making mistakes is just don't make them again. Learn from them. It's completely fine to make mistakes. It's healthy and good for you to make mistakes. That's how you learn. Just make sure you learn from that experience and try different types of hands and try different types of play lines and see what seems to be having success for you. Overall, kind of going into the mulligans of what he talked about, yeah, just focus on having a game plan to start with, right? It doesn't need to be the best thing, but just see what those hands bring you and what you get out of them.
All right. Thank you guys so much. That was
No?
so helpful.
The fuck is Commune with Beavers?
I don't
Oh,
know.
it's a Final Fantasy card.
Oh,
No, I'm not playing that shit. Fuck.
let's get what do we got? We got Dan. Let me get him up here. Invite to speak. Dan.
Hey,
Can you hear us?
what's up, guys? I know. I just wanted to know. By the way, I'm Dan. Dan and Andy. We shared our house together, wounded in San Diego with DJ and them. I'm just wondering when you guys gonna come to a tournament on the East Coast next.
I mean, I'll be in Nashville in less than 2 weeks.
We have a big one in August, Steel City.
Yeah, I'll be there as well.
Oh, great! So I'll see you at that one for sure.
Yeah,
How about
definitely.
you? How about you, Pigeon?
Pigeon's not here
Steel
right
City?
His Wi-Fi
Oh, he
died,
was
so
okay. All
now. I
right,
would
cool.
imagine Pigeon is going to Steel City. Yes, I think he's also like I believe he's in the Mox Masters Invitational. He's qualified currently.
Right. That's right. The Invitational is the same thing there. Very cool. Just want to say hi.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
All right.
all right. Next we got Wise Games. Invite him to speak. Wise Games, you're up on the stage.
Sorry, I was muted. So I would really like to know, as somebody who is recently switched from a deck that he has been known to play for years and years, what is the best advice to take going from one deck that is one thing where you're doing a certain playstyle and going straight from a difference? Basically how you went from Kennen, which is more of the how you like to play, which is control and all that, into Ob, which is straight turbo, head down, not giving a fuck. Like, what's the best advice to really embrace that?
Dude, I miss Ob so much. The best advice was embrace it. Like, I mean, I think what was really nice was being able to pull. I think it's super healthy and good to try a lot of different types of decks in the format just to see what you can. Not even necessarily if you like playing them, but you can still learn a lot from playing them. And so, yeah, it was a scary combination having a grindy control politicker on a turbo strategy and still be able to converse with the table really effectively and almost play the mid range in turbo sometimes. So I would say the best thing is embrace what that deck is. So like my transition from Kennen to Ob was full no fucks given, right? Like my entire philosophy was everyone is being greedy and tapping out for Ristic Study on turn 2, turn 3. I'm just going to nause them, and that's just what I did on repeat. So like I definitely embraced what the deck was as hard as I could, and then just paired that with the knowledge I had from other strategies. So I would definitely embrace the other deck, right? It's the same thing I said to the guy talking about being new to CDH. You're new to a different deck, and so make mistakes, learn from them, try different hands, see what works.
Okay. And if I can do one more follow-up question. So as who y'all are, do y'all feel yourselves are interacting with more because of who y'all are like on this deck, since y'all are technically the biggest the ones that bring in the most results with the deck? And also, do do y'all also change the way you would interact with said deck if it's from somebody who is very known for the deck versus somebody who you don't know or how they play?
Do you want to go first on that one, Pigeon?
I think is it like deck specifically for pilots or just like maybe a pilot you don't know, right? On a certain
So, like,
deck?
a pilot known for a deck versus somebody that you don't really know that has
Yeah.
played it.
I mean, if I see Max playing Cannon versus a Cannon player I don't know, right? I'm gonna take it a lot differently. Like I know this is the deck that they're best at, and that I need to be more cautious of than someone who maybe just net decked the list and is playing it. Maybe Cannon's a bad example, whatever. But I'll definitely take a different approach. Like I know this is a good player playing the deck they are known for, and need to take a different approach because that's how they are. Even if I interact with them perfectly, like they can still push through a lot of the time. So you have to talk to the table. Like even if I'm doing this on my deck, right? Like you talk to the table, be like, okay, it's not an issue until it becomes one. So I'll just tell you the right pivot points and when we stop and think about things. Versus like a random Cannon player, I'll just be like, okay, I'm just gonna counter their Basalt Monolith because that's mainly what I'm scared of from them. I think there's a lot of smaller pieces though, and there's a pilot that is way better at their deck than just like the main win cons that are scary. And you just have to acknowledge that and recognize the pivots.
I think a lot of that question comes from knowing the player more so than the deck they're on. This might be a bad example because I do tend to counter more Rhystic Studies than I think the average person. A lot of people seem to just be letting them through nowadays, but definitely someone I don't know anything about. I am more likely to let their Rhystic Study through than if Waffle casts a Rhystic Study.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? I'll consider if I want to counter their Rhystic Study. If Waffle puts it on the stack, I'm snap countering that shit. Like,
Yeah,
absolutely. So there's definitely slight differences, but that's not because of the deck they're on. That's just I know the player and I know it works well against that player. Yeah, that's more so the difference, right? Like I'm more afraid of you on God, what is his name? Rocco wise than I am the average person, right? I'm more considerate, but I also know your play patterns. I know that you try and get down a Ranger Captain first. Like I know you try and do those things, and so they're things I can be aware of because I know the player, not because of as much the deck.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank y'all for the answers, and I can't wait to see y'all in a couple weeks.
Appreciate it, man.
Sorry if I missed on my Wi-Fi. It was gone.
Pound cake jumpsuit.
Hey, what's
You're
up,
up.
guys?
What's up?
Tony, I know how you feel about this. Pigeon Wounded, how close are you guys on Vexing Shusher?
I think I'd be on Spellsky before Vexing Shusher, but
Yeah, I took that from what Wounded said, but is it like a never or is it a 107th card?
it's not a never. It's just like I think there's better options first. I think maybe like 110, 107 is probably about right. I wouldn't test it until I was exhausted on other options though.
I did order one. I have it in my sideboard of cards I might try. I'm not like right there at adding it in for sure. I don't think it's unreasonable. I am curious to see. My concern is the play patterns that circle around. I just have to hold up my mana and like make other people's shit uncounterable, and like everyone just doesn't do anything, and then we get to this really annoying fucking game state of that. I'm not sure if that lends me towards winning the game because it's a cool card, but it is, I guess, mana intensive to get going. A lot of the time, and I don't want to be holding up my mana to do other people's things for them. I want to activate Thrasios. That's all I want to do. So like, I mean, it might be one of those cards that's like again, I actually might like it more in the turbo world where I need to make people's counterspells uncounterable. But
What's
not
the
right now. Not quite there.
What's like the persistent one you played in Kinnan, or maybe used to play?
Glenalendra.
I feel like it kind of feels like Glenalendra. I know it's different, but it's just like, well, you'll make my thing uncounterable, so let's do it. I'd be like, well, fuck, I don't want to make everything uncounterable or waste this mana because now I can't spin Thrasios, right? It's like, it's good and bad. It's just that sometimes it's a political piece you have to use when you don't want to use it.
Gotcha. Tony,
Definitely not the same. Definitely not the same as Glenalendra, but like similar in my mind.
Both are good, dude. Both are good.
Yeah, yeah.
You want
for
me
sure,
to?
for
You want me
sure.
to sell you on Spellskite? I'll sell you on Spellskite. My
No,
God,
I'm-
we're talking about all colorless mana spent into a body that is like a legitimate stacks piece on the board for a shitload of combos, and also is onboard protection for everything. They
All
can't blow
right,
up your
pulling
creatures.
it
They
out.
can't blow up your cradle. They can't blow up any of that kind of stuff. It's just an overlying piece of onboard protection that makes people not even want to deal with your bullshit.
It also says if a Borrow lands, you can't really lose the game because how are they removing it through that and a Spellskite?
yeah,
For sure.
it's crazy.
Easy sell. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
I think you had a question from Jub in the questions for Fireside Chat, Max.
Oh, what is it? The
Um,
question is mainly for Wounded, but everyone can answer if they feel strongly. Take Me Back to Eden or even in Arcadia. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, these are 2 Sleep Token albums, their most recent 2 albums out of their 4 total studio records. They are my favorite band for the last several years. I've been listening to them since right when This Place Will Become Your Tomb came out. Take Me Back to Eden is one of the greatest albums ever produced by any band ever, and it is actively one of those albums that is impossible to properly follow up. I think they did a phenomenal job on Even in Arcadia, and I am super happy with it, and I am satisfied with the listening experience. And I love the route they took with it. I think they took the correct path forward in not just giving us more of the same, but making something a little bit different and incorporating different styles. I really love what they did, but Take Me Back to Eden is record for the ages that if you have not listened to, I strongly recommend you check out. It is I genuinely believe like one of the top 10 records of all time.
What's the name of this band again?
Sleep Token.
Sleep Token.
all right, sorry for throwing that question. I don't have any. I don't know, so not me. Sorry, Nightlocker, my bad.
Yeah, Nightlocker, you're up.
You're all good. Just a question for both of you. How do you break out of a losing streak, or just like bad luck streak?
Win.
I've never had one.
If it's like, I mean, I've had like like a few games in a row. You just like feel like you can't do anything, and that just happens. And then you just play games where you crush them, and then you're fine again. You just gotta keep playing. It happens sometimes. It's whatever. Don't let it get to your head. Just keep going.
Learn from your mistakes.
100%.
That's the biggest thing always. If something like recognize what has not been working in those games and adapt from it. I think that's the reason I've been able to stay consistent.
Yeah.
I think for me lately, it's been that the decks I'm best on are just the most boring decks in the entire world. Like Blue Farm and stuff. And so switching over to decks like this, it's like I'm having fun, but I'm not doing well.
Again, that's
There's
how
a learning curve
you
for sure.
learn. Yeah, exactly.
It's a very, very different style of play.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks.
All right, Max. I have one question for you, buddy. When are we putting Scoot Swarm in the deck?
Never. Actually, I have genuinely thought about it. It seems fine, right? Like it's not bad. I really
kind of don't hate it. It's not a Nantuko. It's not a Nantuko, but
I kind of don't hate it. It is kind of crazy. Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like it might be win more.
Oh, for sure.
Like
I'm mostly messing.
Well, so I think if I was on Sam Black's list, I'm like genuinely interested, right? Like if I'm on full Tempted Discovery, every possible land drop, like Cradle as hard as possible, then like I'm surprised Sam is not on Scoot Swarm, if I'm being honest. But I don't think we need it. I think there's also a very big difference in it's normally very easy for me to get down a turn 1 Nantuko. Like that's normally a very easy thing to do of like land Mox Amber or land Lotus Petal or land Chrome Mox. Like it's super easy to get turn 1 Nantuko into a fetch land turn 2. And that play pattern is turn 2 you normally have 4 creatures, which is phenomenal. And you have that with having 4 mana up on turn 4 to play your Enduring or get your Swimming Micro Spawn. And those are some of the really good play patterns with Nantuko, in addition to Nantuko being so good late, versus Scoot Swarm is harder to set up initially with the mana cost, doesn't work as explosively as Nantuko, and it can work very explosively late, but in a very different axis where you're not cloning creatures, you're making creatures. So it's specifically busted with Earthcraft or untapped Cradle, but normally you're tapping Cradle to get the activations to do things where it feels win more. It's really just Earthcraft where I love it.
I mean, mostly as a joke, but funny just because I thought I saw one lying around on my desk and I was like,
oh, I've like very much thought about that card. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we got Zerk.
Oh yeah.
Zerk, you're up next.
Zerk the jerk.
Here we go. Okay. I have a few questions.
Hell
You
yeah.
can have two.
I guess
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Are you laughing at my avatar?
No,
No.
we were laughing because I said you could have two, and then I said I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Okay. All right, the timing is a big problem for me personally. And I find myself when I do follow that strategy of just waiting one more turn, I usually just get rolled by somebody going silence into Thoracle or some other protected win. So, I mean, the deck I have now is set up to win turn 4 every game. But I guess that's not what you guys do, so I just don't know how to pick my spots.
I mean, so where you're saying you're not getting another turn, right? Because someone goes silence into Thoracle. I mean, that means they don't have two counter spells at the table. When I am saying I'm holding in my mana and passing a turn, I'm doing that with the ability to interact. It doesn't seem like you're doing that with the ability to interact. So in that world, you're on a list that is dedicated to trying to go fast. So I would just try and go fast and see if it works for you. And if it's not working for you, then change the deck.
Okay. I got two more questions. They're quick though.
Well, did you want to add anything to that, Pigeon?
I agree. I think that's a great way to put it. I don't have much of a differing opinion than that. It's like a pretty perfect way to sum it up.
Thanks.
Okay. I guess if I gotta pick one, I see Saheeli in the considering. Yeah. What are the highs and lows? I've always liked that card in theory, but I've never actually tried it.
So I never actually. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, you're good. It's just like another TPI, I think, right? And I don't think TPI makes a cut right now either. Just because it's hard on pips and like you have to like do a bunch of stuff afterwards. So it's still a good card. I think it's just a little bit behind what we actually currently have in our 100, right?
Yeah, I
It's
was
so
on
good.
TPI, and that's when I added it to considering was when I was on TPI, and then I realized my play patterns with TPI was forcing me to cast Mana Rocks when I didn't want to, and
Yeah.
not really doing anything early until I got into a counter war at some point, and so I never added Saheeli.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it's still
you guys-
good.
Well, have you guys tested it a lot, or is it just like as an
I did
option for
briefly.
later?
I
did
never
briefly.
tested it. I thought about adding it, but then realized it is worse than TPI, and I was cutting TPI. So
Yeah, exactly. I think in the world where there are more non-creature stuff I'm doing, I might play both, but I'd probably still play TPI over Saheeli, so I don't think so.
Okay. Do you ever feel the low artifact count for Mopal? Or is it fine at like 10 or 12 or whatever you have it at?
Max is on a lot more. I'm currently off mobile. I'm on 10, 11 if you count Metamorph, so like I'm off it right now, and that's even with the song and kitten stuff that's still here. So I don't know. I've been trying it without and seeing how it's going. It's been good so far, but up to max because this is a little different.
pretty. I mean, it is often turned on for me when I play it. I haven't felt like it's a waste of a card. But then, I mean, yeah, specifically Song of Creation, Valley Flood Caller, Displacer Kitten does what I want it to do really, really well.
Even if it's just there to be a rock or a spell to cast for Chatterstorm, I still think it like does things.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. We got Perpetual Dad.
Hey, what's up, guys?
John.
So,
What's up, John?
so I my guess question is, on this deck specifically, what do you think the most difficult part about navigating Swiss is?
For me, it's been like actually being scary now because like again, the deck wasn't as scary before, and now people are just like, oh my god, RogThras. Just being like reasonable and be like, hey, dude, I'm gonna get this thing, and I could push for a win, and you probably have a counter spell, so I'm not gonna do it. How about we just chill and sit on some interaction, both of us, instead of fighting and letting the next person just win? Has been very, very often how Swiss goes. Or like creature tutors that could get a Seedborn, instead I just get a Biomancer or a Fairy Mastermind or something, right? Where I can just get more value. I don't want to be pushing unless I'm guaranteed winning the game. Especially in Swiss, because I need those wins and I can't just like lose them all. Just being like very talkative and just being like, hey, let's do this thing together and stop the threat. And then later becoming the threat instead of always being the threat. Not sure how Max feels about it.
Pretty similar. I will say it. Yeah, people fucking hate this deck. God damn.
Yeah, dog.
What I really loved about this deck when I first picked it up almost 2 months ago now was compared to Kinnan, where like every card in Kinnan is a conversation because they're all scary and powerful. This deck, I just got away with fucking everything because no one gave a shit about any of the cards, and I was like, this is awesome. And that's now I sit down at the table and people are like, ugh, RogThras, fuck this deck, like blow up everything, and I'm like, what are you doing, brother? But yeah, I would say in Swiss specifically, yeah, a lot of it is having a conversation, and I like what Pigeon said about get Biomancers instead of Seedborn. Like I'll still get Seedborn a lot, right? It's all being situational with it, but there's a real awareness in knowing when to slap your dick on the table. I know that's a crude way of putting it, but it's right. Like I'm not slamming that Seedborn down unless I feel confident that I'm sticking it and going to be able to protect it and going to be able to progress with that, right? And if I'm not in that position, being willing to just grind value with Biomancers is still totally acceptable.
Super agree.
Well, that's very well put. I think the kind of non-deterministic like style of the deck is very much is that a lot of the cards in it aren't as the people don't evaluate as threatening as they should be, and I feel like that helps in Swiss, but definitely does not cut it in top 4 or top.
Definitely not. But that's also why you just do like not Seedborn sometimes. You just do like, something else, and that works out.
Non-deterministic decks get away with a lot more, which I love.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point, right? Like, oh well, he could just Oracle Console this turn. Oh, you got a Grand Abolitor out and he passed. Like, you gotta let me pop off, because if not, we're just gonna lose. And I still probably get there.
Appreciate it, homies.
Yeah, dog.
Thanks, Sean. Looks like we got one more person with their hand raised. I'm gonna be able to pronounce this.
Wait, let me try.
Venimore.
Zilla Venimore, yeah.
Zilla Venimore.
Exile Venimore, but good try.
Exile.
How y'all doing?
Exile. There you
go. Yeah.
I got 2 questions for y'all. The first question is kind of based more about the current meta, this Ristic, Mystic style meta and mid range. Have you guys ever thought about maybe running more cards, like maybe like a Con Sphinx, or even protecting pieces like a Wandering Archaic?
I don't think I would ever put in Constants in this deck. Wandering Archaic has been an interesting one to think about, though. Just like getting
I mean
free
more
value.
like cards like it because of how the meta is shaping right now.
I don't know. Our deck's pretty focused on what it's doing. I wouldn't try and like copy what other people are doing, unless it's like the same decks, right? Or like clones of things. I don't like relying on other people or like becoming a big old threat for 6 mana and wasting it all.
Yeah, I also think we do make a lot of mana in this deck, and that is absolutely something to pay attention to. But very specifically, we make a lot of green mana in this deck.
Yeah.
And so I thought about these cards. I have had this conversation with myself, and obviously I'm comparing it to Kinnan when I'm doing these considerations. And the thing about Kinnan is Kinnan can very consistently have 7 mana on. Kinnan can very consistently have like 7 mana on turn 3, and a lot of it is blue, and so it's able to do those things and often hold up mana beyond it. We're not really in that position. Also, I do apologize. I actually just have a text and I gotta head out.
I think it's more for a Kinnan style deck, or maybe like I don't even know what else would really play it well. I just don't think it's as focused for us because we're already doing so many different things in Pivotable that we don't really like need it as much.
I do just want to say thanks for having me real quick. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll see you guys around.
Wounded, thanks for doing it for
Have a good
sure.
buddy.
Right on
See ya.
time. So,
Have a good one.
all right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
more of just wasn't sure with how the meta shaping out how that overall affected things. But my other question was, how would you describe the ceiling and floor of RogThras versus other decks?
Oh, dude. I think it goes kind of crazy. I mean, again, I'm also on more ceiling floor cards. I'm on sudden sub and things like crazier a little bit. But the fact that you can like manually do some janky storm that doesn't look that scary, and then all of a sudden you have 35 mana out of nowhere. It's just so good. Even if you don't get there every time, or even if you don't present a win, like you're getting so much more for so much less than other decks, and you're constantly like refilling your hand with the things you're doing, or getting value of the small stuff. Unlike Blue Farm, we'll just say, because Blue Farm often relies on other people to cast spells to draw things, or people to attack into, which you don't need, and that feels really good because you can just do it yourself. You don't have to worry about anybody else, and I like it more because you have so many options.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, dog.
Thanks, dude.
Do we have anything else?
We
I think
good.
Eric's asked a question.
Yeah, Eric's got one question.
How necessary is the acceleration of Elvish Spirit Guide? I've always felt that having more consistent mana over multiple turns is better than a burst of mana in this deck. It makes Elvish Spirit Guide make the cut. Mainly for me, it's like the early game, cast something early, or like get out a 2 or 3 drop on turn 1, or be able to Elvish Spirit Guide besage you something, or honest to God, I've cast so many Elvish Spirit Guides in this deck, it's not even funny. Invisible Veil, yeah, there you go, stuff like that. Crop Rot for free, things like that. I like it more because I have so many green pips, and I obviously make a lot of green mana, but it's just free. Like, bare minimum, I'm casting Elvish Spirit Guide, upping my Cradle count, and then it becomes an Enduring Vitality tapper later. Like, I actually like the fact that it is also just a creature to cast, or burst of mana, because it's green and the thing we need most. Obviously, I think we need blue a little more because we make a lot of green, but you still have to get to the blue stuff with the green stuff most of the time. But I don't think you've seen a Simian Spirit Guide in most of these lists in a long time. Maybe like Simpleton or Collins, but that's about it. I like it a lot still. I've considered cutting it, but I don't think it's in a spot where I can right now. Dude, secret creature mode isn't even secret. I just like reveal it off of a Thras spin for 2, and I'm like, oh, cool, cast. And they're like, what?
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's grown on me too. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Does anybody have any more questions before we close out? Raise your hand.
You don't
Or
need
something.
Kinnan. That's
Yeah.
a good question. Why no Kinnan?
Yeah, why
most
no
of my
Kinnan?
stuff is lands, dog. I mean, like, again, there's Enduring and there's birds and some rocks, but Kinnan is scary. Why would I want to be scary when I can win the game later? I also don't want to play a bad combo of Kinnan Basalt. That's just bad in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of moved away from that. That's where we were like a year ago. Kinnan Basalt and stuff.
Endurance is a bad card. That's why it's okay.
You got this. You're on Tempt. How far
Yep.
do you think Reap and Sow is? Especially
Reap and
with
Sow?
more Cradle decks. It's
Entwine
land
one?
destruction. That's the Entwine one with land destruction, or search your library for a land and put it onto the battlefield.
It's like 3 times slower, so I would play that.
We got one person here. Caslin. There we go.
Come on.
Invite to speak. Come on up. Come on up. Take the stage.
Hey.
Take the stage.
All right. Hey. My question is, with all the land destruction that we are seeing aimed at Cradle, how important is it, do you think, to have Cradle agnostic win lines? Because you were just talking about not running Kin and Basalt, but running something similar, something that
Like-
doesn't rely on Cradle to get us to infinite mana.
I mean, the other thing is you don't really need infinite mana in this deck. I obviously hate getting my cradle blown up. No one will deny that, right? Like, but when you're looking at like the ways this deck makes the mana, or the way you're using Thrasios or Displacer Kitten or other effects, you can just fall back on Breach. Is the whole point of why the card is just good. Or watch this. You know how many times I've done this? Finale for 10, bro. I have so many times in Swiss or Top Cut or random games just finale'd for 10. I don't need the cradle to do that. Like all my rocks and stuff, it's like we'll get there, and I have a ton of lands and play off of spins earlier, whatever. I've just cast it and killed them. My 12 squirrels are all 13/13s now or whatever, and will pop you. But that's why I don't like relying only on the cradle thing, kind of like what Sam Black is doing, because if it gets screwed, you're screwed. You don't have as easily of like a backup, or you have Earthcraft, you have Kitten, you have Song, you have Breach, you have Fairy Mastermind if you need it, and you have Finale. Like you have so many other outlets that I don't worry too much if my cradle's gone to close out a game, or just get it
Alright,
back.
man.
Getting it back
Yeah,
is also
that
just
answers
good.
the question.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, man.
Yeah, Doc.
Thank you. All right. All right. I mean, I guess if there's no more questions from everybody, and we got through everything that people posted. I mean, Pigeon, thanks for doing this, and
Yeah, Doc.
it's definitely helpful for everybody. And we got people we recorded it, so if anyone didn't hear
Yeah.
the whole thing, they'll be able to hear the whole thing. No
I think
problem.
we recorded it twice over just in case.
Yeah, we got a couple people all messaging me like, I'm recording it. I'm like, all right.
Okay,
sweet.
good.
Yeah. So we got it. All right. Thanks, dude. Wait. I got one more. Hold on. I got one more.
Calls them in.
Yeah. Ben, you're on the stage, dude. Ben, you're muted.
Oh.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yes,
got you.
sir.
Awesome, thank you. Sometimes my volume and like my actual voice is a little intense.
Hmm.
I was just chopping through your list right now and kind of just tuning up my deck, and I noticed no spring leaf drum.
Yeah. No Springleaf. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I need more mana a lot of the time. I know Max is pretty consistently on it, talks about it a lot, but like, I don't know. I make a lot of mana.
Utopia Sprawl is a viable substitution.
Yeah,
I hate that card.
I have way more ways to untap my land than to like care about my rocks. I like that more. Even just like a simple cloud making one extra mana is more important. Or like I'm on Arbor Elf, right? So like my Arbor Elf, instead of just being a Birds of Paradise, actually adds 2 mana because there's a Forest Enchanted or whatever. I like it a lot. It's been good in testing. I haven't had any issues with it. Like only bad mulligan ever was like a Molda 3, and that's already just a Molda 3, so whatever. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm just hesitant to run more wild growth effects. That card has always come up for me at the worst times.
Yeah, Sprawl is a little different than Growth for sure, but that's also why I'm on like the Yavi Maya stuff, because while a little bit scarier sometimes, like it could be worse. Also, like, oh, there's an oppo out, I'll just tap my fetch land for green. I don't care. Like a bunch of different scenarios, right?
Very appreciative of the Yavimaya tech.
Yeah, dude, I've loved it.
Dude, I grabbed it off your list and never looked back. It is in the deck.
Oh, my Saga taps for green instead, or fetch land, or my Misrides now enters untapped because all my stuff are forests. Shifting Woodland, same thing. Talon Gates taps for green. Ancient Tomb, I don't want to lose 2 life. Tap for green. Like,
Yep. Almost a necessity with the fact that we are so low on like land count stuff for fetches. Like I will run out of basics to get with Prismatic Vista or mountains to get with like
a red
forest
fetch.
to get with like Wooded Foothills. You need it.
I agree. That's very good.
Would you ever tutor for it?
I have. I had an Arbor Elf and a Cradle out, so I crop rotated for a Tiavi Maya. And they're like, we don't care if you crop rotate. You have a fucking
You already have
cradle
the
out
cradle.
already. And I'm like, cool. Now I have 2 of them. And
Yeah.
it's not, and it doesn't cost mana to tap. So it's
Yeah.
better. It's
Our
pretty fun.
wounded came back.
What's up? He back.
Yeah, sorry. My hopefully soon to be partner is on vacation. I've been waiting to hear from her, and she was able to call for a real quick thing. She's in a camping trip, so been waiting on that one. Couldn't say no.
Yeah.
Fair.
Nice. I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else has questions. We got a couple already. We were just gonna wrap it up, I guess.
Glad I could.
As you come back, buddy. Thanks for coming back.
We would go for 2.5 hours, way longer than what I expected. But yeah, it's great.
Pigeon, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is your favorite sudden substitution play of all time?
Oh my god.
I think I know what it is, but
it's at least top 3 is the stealing Bolus's Citadel. That one was great. Because that was also in the top 16 of the Fishbowl, right? There was a time where a different RogThras snapped targeting something of Sisay's, and we just forgot about a Skrelv on board, and they responded in Skrelv to give it like protection from blue. So what I did was, because he was gonna tap both of our cradles with it, his and mine, I sudden subbed the snap and like one of my things to just change the target of snap. So I just changed the target, got the untaps, didn't have to deal with the thing, and then we just dealt with it later. Like weird plays that you wouldn't expect to matter, but just because you can change the targets of sudden sub is great. Probably though, Demcon, and Lubra. I had to be. Oh my god! I swapped the Thoracle ETB on the stack. Blue Farm player cast Demonic Consultation, hold priority. I swapped their Lumra or the other guy's Lumra with the Demcon, and then they no longer have anything to do. And the Lumra has to Demcon and doesn't know what to name, so just named like I think Amulet of Vigor, and like 35 cards exiled. Like all of their land when cons were gone. They don't know what to do. It's just so funny.
Okay. I think my favorite use case you ever gave that was like something I could really see myself doing was player has Oppo, player casts Tutor, you cast like Noxious Revival and give yourself the Oppo.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna steal the tutor you were gonna use to win myself, and I have this permanent Oppo on board that I just get to keep now. Oh, it's so funny.
I love the upsides of the card. It is crazy.
Okay, there was one other one. I was playing against Duncan, the Tie-In player Duncan. On his end step, going into my turn, I stole his Ranger Captain by casting something. I think it was like Noxious, like something like Noxious Rival, like irrelevant, right? And he's like, "Well, I want to crack." I'm like, "Nope, no, the fuck you aren't." So I just had this Ranger Captain going into my turn. I'm like, "Cool, crack Ranger Captain." And they're like, "What the fuck do we do?"
Yeah.
That was really good too.
Yeah, that's a fun card.
It is a super fun card.
Wounded is colors really coming back. You're really doing that again?
What do you say?
Did you just rickroll us for fun?
Oh, that was hilarious. I did that. I did that in a fucking announcement to the Canon Discord one time.
Oh my god!
I had everyone that shit rickrolled like 2,000 people.
Oh my god!
Like I'm only kind of a troll, bro. Like, I'm not actually a troll. That's so funny. Wait, Coslin, we lobbyconned after the boil too. Were you one of those Canadians?
No, he was with Dan, who jumped in before. They're from Jersey. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't know. I know who he is, but I don't know which one of DJ's boys he is. But I will know him if I saw a picture of him. Yeah.
Yeah, you would. He also plays RogThras. I don't know if he played a RogThras there. He might have.
I think he did. I don't know. I'm bad with the names. It's a lot of
Yeah,
people. I know them.
yeah.
I know them
Said
by
I
their
did.
decks and their faces more than I know
Yeah.
people's real names.
They're
Yeah,
what?
yeah. That's fair.
Well, it's like everyone in my phone is like Jeremy, LA Sisse. Like that's,
Yeah,
that's like how I do them.
That's funny.
The decks that they play. That's how you remember
Yeah, the
people.
decks they play is fun.
Um,
Any last
yeah.
questions, Tony, Pigeon, anyone?
No, I feel good.
Yeah,
Sweet.
no, I mean, yeah,
I got my
you
one
guys,
question to you.
you guys did good. Yeah, you guys answered a lot of the good questions. So very much appreciated. Again, I think you were out. I was just saying that we have like, there's like 3 people that messaged me that they were recording this. So we'll get that recording up, put it in like resources or something so people can listen to it. I know we probably had like a steady 50 people in here listening
Yeah.
at one time, which is
Must
pretty
have was
good.
like 48, something crazy.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
all right. I mean, if you
Can I
guys
have
have
I'll do 1 minute of shout outs here of important
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Colors or Crutch is coming back. Stay tuned. Whether you liked the show or hate me or whatever, you should check it out. I have a new co-host that I'm trying out, and we're gonna see how it goes. So that'll be coming into play soon. Additionally, I offer cEDH coaching. If you think that would be something helpful for you, you can reach out to me on Discord or Twitter or any other medium to get to me, and we can set something up. I know I've already done coaching with some of the people that are in here, and feel free to ask them or whatever about reviews and such.
Yeah. I also offer coaching. I don't do cool stuff, but I make videos with MPG basics, so you should also check them out. That's much people.
Thanks so much for having us. Appreciate
No
it.
absolutely. Amount of coaching can help me. Shout out Captain Moral Support. One day, baby. One day, baby.
Well, I would love to build like a cEDH YouTube series about taking people on like coaches versus coaches. We take people on the bottom of the ELO leaderboard.
No.
We each get to coach them for like 1 week, and then we see whose coaches do the best.
Do the best. That'd be sick, dude.
I'm in. I suck. No, shut up,
That's
shut up.
That's an awesome idea.
I think that would be like a fun channel for coaches to make some content together.
Yeah, like they do like on the Food Network, like professional chefs train like little kids and
Hell's
see who does
Kitchen
it
or
better.
whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we get the guy who's 0-70-3, and we see if we can get him some dubs. Like,
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, that'd actually be a cool series.
All right, but for real,
So,
have a great night, guys. I appreciate you all.
Thanks guys very much.
See you guys.
You guys
Bye.
take care. Bye.
Bye.